How are we doing? There we go. Perfect. And it looks like we are all started. Alrighty. Oops. I didn't even finish setting up the office. I've been doing that just so it's well, one, you know, going through the house, cleaning things, got a ton of things there. Destroyed dog toys are on the table too. How's everyone doing though? Sorry, I'm just making sure everything is good. I honestly, we're lucky that I'm up right now. We got lucky. I forgot to set my alarms this morning before I went to bed. The only reason that I got up in time is because Tater, he always goes potty right around 4. So, hey Donovan, how's it going, buddy? Yes, it has been it's been quite a long time. I hope you're doing all right, buddy. It's good to see you. Happy New Year. I hope everything has been well. You've been enjoying. It's been a little bit, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong. That's the nice thing with YouTube. Almost everything that we do here is uploaded and, permanently available. So, but it's good to see you, Donovan. I hope you're doing well. It's very good to see you, buddy. But yeah, I'm so lucky that Tater, woke me up to go to the bathroom, because I was like, oh, it's 4. I think it was like 4:10, 4:30, and I was like, I gotta get him out first, and then I gotta get back inside and get ready for stream. So we are here. Hey, Sharktopus, how's it going? How's it going, everyone? How's it going? Happy New Year. I apologize that it's a few days into the year before I make a post or anything. I was girlfriend Larissa and I were both incredibly sick at the end and the start of this year. So it's amazing to see you. Thank our son. Yes. Guess what? Guess what? What, Donovan? What's going on? What's up? But yeah, so we were incredibly sick, influenza or whatever's going around. So obviously you can kind of still hear it. I'm a little nasally, but I went to bed with a runny nose, and now it's still kind of swollen, but no runny nose, and I actually do feel really good. So, or I don't feel really good, but I feel better than I did even this morning. So we're good. My birthday is tomorrow. Hey, happy early birthday, buddy. Happy early birthday, Donovan. But yeah, I'm pretty damn excited as well. Yeah, happy birthday, dude. Nice. Happy birthday. Um, oh, what? Oh, I had like 4 different things I wanted to say all at once. So I wanted to make sure I wished Donovan a birthday first, but then the other two or three things just went. Thanks. Of course, of course. I hope you have a good birthday. I don't think I'll be well. Yeah, I don't think I'll be live tomorrow, so I won't have a chance to say it of the day. So I want to make sure that I say it today. Okay, there we go. Let me get back on track here for a second. So we do have an unboxing from Big Bad Toy Store. There you go. You guys can see what it is. I was able to pick this up on New Year's Eve, and then it literally shipped yesterday, and then it got here today. I've said it in the past, I'm very fortunate to where I'm only two and a half states technically away from Big Bad Toy Store's warehouse. So as long as I get the first option of priority from FedEx, I typically get things overnight. So this literally had shipped yesterday, and now it's here. So we do have the Mechagodzilla 2021 Final Battle version. We'll be unboxing this in just a second. I want to get this done right away. I wanted to do this as a separate stream. I was actually just going to do an unboxing stream and then leave this completely how it is, but because I woke up so late, this didn't get delivered basically a little bit before I woke up anyways, so I wouldn't have been able to really stream so far in advance, and it almost would have been like confusing. So I just, we opted in just to do it like this. We'll have the 2 streams together. No way. Yep. So I am officially technically I'm done with the 2025 releases. With this, Ghidorah's still in Japan. Ghidorah's not going to get here for... I'll hopefully get an email for the invoice for the extra shipping I have to pay for Ghidorah, because that's why it didn't ship. I got that for Christmas. Nice. Yeah, I'm very excited for this. I am very, very excited for this Mechagodzilla. I have been looking forward to getting this back into my collection, so I'm very excited. So I'm glad that you also got one, Donovan. So yeah, let's get this open, because this will be the next review. And then that will lead into... Whoa, wait, whoa, what? I just realized how small this box is. This is like a Godzilla box. Like, the figure's amazing. Yeah, dude. The first one was pretty good, so I'm excited to see all the improvements on this one. This is... They made the box a lot smaller. When this originally released, the box was huge. It was like the Shin Godzilla size, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. That's cool, dude. Alright. Let's open it. Hopefully I'm not too nasally for y'all. I do apologize. I can't, being sick, I can't really do it. Like, I have to focus if I don't want to be nasally. If I'm not able to do anything else either, so... Alright, let's get this opened. Let's see let's get these first impressions. Hopefully, we don't have any broken pieces. Which... I don't think I've heard too much about this release having issues. That first one, though, did. Which, I got lucky with mine, so I can't even say anything about bad QC for the first release, because the one that I had initially was actually really, really good. Holy cow. Yeah, he's a lot darker, and the red really, really pops. Holy moly. Okay, so we have... Jesus Christ. We have so much with this figure. Oh my goodness. I already felt like this figure was kind of... like... had a good amount of before, but man... Wow. The new kind of chrome look looks really good. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let's see. Wait, did they really... Oh, I guess because it's partially die-cast, they didn't need to wrap it in plastic or anything. Oh, yeah, there we go. I moved the hips, and memories, man. Memories of 2022 came back. What a crazy year. Oh, okay, that's its limit. That's what it's telling me. Okay. Wow. Well, the fact that I'm actually able to use the knees and the elbows, it's a little cold, so I'm not going to try to play with it too much more. Don't want to mess with the joints. Well, they're still kind of warming up. Okay. So we do have a loose tail. That's first thing. But that's pretty typical. I think... basically all the Mechagodzillas have a loose tail, so disappointing, but looseness can be fixed, so as of right now, I'm not going to hold it against the figure too much, but I do kind of wish that was something they could have improved on. Oh, I'm missing some comments. For me, the joints were tight, just a heads up. Yeah, I expected the joints to be tighter. The first release, you almost couldn't bend the elbows. They were basically a brick. Why is this figure so perfect? Because it is kind of low-key, like, really good. And it always was. Canadian syrup doji? Nah, the tail is loose. Yeah, but the loose joints you can fix. As long as they are the plastic. I don't think the Titan trick works for the elbows. Or... I guess that would be loosening for the elbows, so because they're die cast. But we'll see. How's everyone doing? Yeah, Canadian Syrup Goji, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Okay. I'm going to leave the accessories. Like I said, this is a first impressions. I'm not going to unbox everything. Hey Alex, how's it going, buddy? I don't want to unbox everything. Not that we have so much to talk about, because honestly, as I was setting up like the 2025 lists, little mini section of the stream, I didn't even realize how like quick that's gonna be either. So, but yeah, so first impressions right out of the box. I mean, I can't deny that people are kind of right in the idea of this is probably just what they should have released the first time. The only problem is, if they would have done that, we wouldn't have this version, and this figure would be probably more expensive nowadays, because this is just it. It does seem to have a mostly overwhelming positive experience. I did see some Japanese collectors not being the craziest about this release, which is fine, you know. The market over there, and kind of like it's interesting how different like collecting is over there, and how they look at like collecting and re-releases and stuff. So like I really like watching like the top tens at the end of the year. I was watching one of my mains guys, Toy Hyoko, I believe. He did a bunch of top 5 lists, and he just went over all the releases of the year, and then he did a top 8 of his most disappointing purchases of the year, and there was some surprises on there. There was a few I was surprised, because it did start off with this release, and I was a little shocked. But I liked the honesty, obviously. So honesty is the key. So happy first stream of 2026. Thank you, Alex. You see, I'm actually very grumpy. Sharktopus, why are you grumpy? Hopefully this stream helps dissipate some of that grumpiness for you, my friend. Is this the version with all the effects? Yeah. I didn't buy the old one. Even though there's multiple places that I could have gotten the first release cheaper than this, which is kind of disappointing, because eventually when I go for every release in the line, which includes the variants, by the time I actually get there, that release is probably going to end up being expensive. So right now would be perfect, because there was a few places I saw it for like $70 brand new. So I could have bought the first release, but you know, that's not what we're focusing on right now. But yeah, I'm actually, first impressions of this Mechagodzilla is positive as heck. I'm getting a lot of nostalgia from owning the first one. So I didn't even look at the let me look at the mouth quick with the new throat detail. Oh, dude, that is so cool. Yeah, look at that. Having the actual cannon in it. You see the GMK shipping in over a week. At least I got my anime Gunner figure tomorrow, but I'm in shambles. Oh no, not not an anime Gunner figure. Oh no. No, I can't say shit. You guys don't even know. You guys don't even know, because I don't even show that stuff on stream. It's been a long time since I bought something like that, though, since, you know, money's been tight. But at the beginning of the year, there were a few purchases, so, and I know I made comments about those in streams. So anime Gunner figure, Bandai actually made a figure of a Gunner. No, I wish. Yeah, the GMKs, yeah, because of New Year's and stuff. So I think most of the rest of the world should be starting kind of like tonight, and this week should be reopening everything, so those GMKs should get moving. So they just released in China, so they're probably going to take like another month to get here to the US. Month and a half, maybe a little longer. I can't tell. Sometimes it takes them 2 weeks. Sometimes it takes them 4 months to get through customs. So we'll see, because there's supposed to be a pretty big drop, if I'm not mistaken. It's supposed to be the GMK, the Heat Ray 91, and there was one more, right? I know Beast sent a huge list, and a lot of it was the highest stuff. There was a few reissues in there too. Some just regular Godzillas. I didn't even know that they were just like continually like keeping production open on their, their base Godzillas. So cool for them, I guess. Excuse me. Mm. Yeah, that's my main thing with just anime figures in general. Not just that's very specific mindset. Oh, arrived at port already. Okay, so um, Haya is speeding up the release dates from the China release date to the global. Good, good. I'm glad. That's what they need to do. It's dumb that that it would take a month or 2 months or 3 months to get it from one release to the other, and by the time that happens, then the recolor or the 2.0 is released before the U.S. people even have the first ones. So it's a good thing that they have found a way to shorten the gap. So, but yeah, if it's at port, that means it's going through customs, and since it's New Year's and all that stuff. No, 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 no. Mine. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's what I'm saying. So when you did you just buy it like singly? So that's not even from Hyatt. Oh, Kwaski's. How do I? I'm guessing it's from there. They're the main importer for the U.S. So I see what you're saying. Sorry, Sharktopus. I still have brain fog, people. So if I kind of go off on tangent, just kind of like gentle nudge me. I'm not meaning to try to be an ass or anything. It's just I'm so brain fog from being sick. I'm still not like completely I don't want to say conscious, but I'm still like kind of like in and out of reality sometimes. So yeah, just give me like a slight nudge. There you go. Thanks, Sharktopus. I apologize, buddy. Yes, yes, yep. Wazowski toys. Wazowski? Oh man, I wish they were Wazowski toys. That would be funny as. Anyways, but yeah, for the anime figures, they've just gotten so damn expensive. And I'm typically not a statue guy. Of course, X Plus kind of changed me on that. Anime statues are just too expensive. I'm not spending $400 on a statue this tall just because of I don't even want to say features, because the ones in that range don't even have like the really like questionable things on there, or questionable things not on there is maybe the best way to say it. I just like the people talk about Monster Arts prices. Y'all need to go check out what anime statue prices are like, man. Holy shit. You don't even need to get like the adult aged ones for them to be like extremely expensive, and then you tack on that word that we were using earlier, and then the price just quadruples. But then it has features and other things. I mean, I only need 2 anime figures. That's valid. That's valid. I wanted to keep up with Figma for the Fate Grand Order line, but man, oh man, Figma's being like $150, and they're smaller than SH Figuarts. Now the QC typically is way better than Tamashi nowadays. Back when I originally started, it would not. Like my favorite Figma has actually broke twice since I bought it. It broke basically straight out of the box. I used broke loosely. It basically was just a glue seal that wasn't done. So then I just glued it. But then about a year and a half ago, 3 years ago now, one of the accessories broke. So I'm going figure hunting for Hammond collection dinos. Nice, Donovan. Nice. I wish I could get into dinosaur collecting, but the Hammond collection it's so far into its history. Like the few dinosaurs that I wanted, I already checked with people that are on the in and outs were all like expensive. So I was just like, you know what? Never mind. Wanted that Spinosaurus. I did. And then the is it the ultimate T-Rex? Whatever the newer sculpt of that T-Rex was with the small feet, I wanted that too. Exactly, Tanner. The worst part of some of these anime figures is actually beautiful. I want them. Yeah, the statues are already expensive, and now that shipping has gone up. I would say its at base has doubled almost. Nanamu, oh, nice, nice, nice shark, nice. Yeah, shipping is basically doubled at this point, like at base. I would say if you're ordering from Japan, you're probably spending minimum $60 before tariff, at least, no matter the size. So you could ship one CCP in a tiny box. It's probably still going to be about $60 to get over here. I've been told some of those smaller ones fall into the 50s and 40s, but I personally haven't had that. Um, Personally haven't had that luck, but also MonsterArts boxes aren't small, so so I'm trying to only go off of what I've seen with shipping, but everywhere I've seen, even just doing like estimates on shipping, putting things on carts and then canceling, or not canceling orders, but not confirming orders, shipping always seems to be at least $60 to $80 for me. Not a move, but that's so cool. Once I buy, I will start saving for Megaguirus and the Spino. Yes. I was gonna say the Spino. I think people have been like, "Oh man, it's so cool." And then yeah, Megaguirus. Gotta get Megaguirus. She comes out in 2 months for Japan. She'll be out at end of March. So get ready for it. All right. You guys want to talk about some of the 2025 lists? I thought I had more ideas than I actually do, because I only have 5 written down. One of them is a huge, probably not going to happen because, well, I'll talk about it once I say it. And then the other two are kind of like, if there's interest for them, I'll do them. But also, I wouldn't like be upset if they just got locked to like my Instagram stories or something. Which the two that that depends on you guys. If you guys want them, absolutely. Oh, there is one more. So the 3 are actually the non kaiju related things. So I have one for top 10 albums of the year, which I would need time to go through. I have to listen to all the music that released in 2025 that I personally actually listened to in 2025. That's my rule. I have to, for all the lists besides the SH Monster, excuse me, one of the SH Monsters lists, it has to be within 2025. Excuse me. The best and maybe the cheapest way to grab some things for Cham is have a wonderful, yeah. If you have someone who can ship things personally, because they can flux what the package is to avoid tariffs or reduce tariffs. So yeah, but obviously buying from like Genki from companies can't do that. I have heard that some of the companies are attempting to do it, but the ones that have like middlemen, which a lot of them do, can't do that because most of the middlemen aren't willing to do it. So I'm trying to get the NECA Queen Alien too, but I might have to wait for the next restock. Oh yeah, nice, nice. That's I mean, I haven't seen if they've done a new mold for it, but way back when I was in high school, a decade ago, um, literally a decade this year. I remember I was into the NECA stuff. I never actually ended up being able to buy a NECA Predator or Alien, but the one of the older NECA Alien Queens is one of the ones I wanted. I remember, I believe the second version of that figure came out when I started getting into the line. It had like a base. It actually had articulation compared to the first one. The first one was more of kind of like it had articulation, but the legs didn't move. You plugged it into the base. Maybe that wasn't NECA. I don't know. That, like I said, that's like a decade plus. So I was in school when that happened. So, but I know there was kind of like a newer one. So that's cool. NECA does good things. Speaking of NECA, really quick, NECA Godzilla on the USG store for some reason is super weird. I never in my years would I have ever thought I would see NECA figures selling Godzilla, which it's not a new license. It's more than likely the Toho International company. I'm sure they have like a warehouse that has years worth of Godzilla stock. Oh, probably the McFarlane and not NECA. That's probably correct, Shark. That would probably be, yeah. I get those two mixed up all the time, which is odd because I don't like McFarlane at all. I used to like McFarlane. I used to buy McFarlane Halo figures, the Reach figures. Oh my god. They found the secret vault. Yeah, they just found more somewhere, which is crazy because that figure did pretty damn well, the 2014. But I don't think anyone I know on Facebook has gotten one yet. I'm curious to see what box it's in. Is it the blister pack? I don't remember the 2014 having the opening and closing window, but maybe that's just my memory. So I'm curious to see if it's the blister pack version, because that's the version I have. I have it. I don't know where it's at. It's in my Godzilla. They need the secret vault of 62s. Yeah, I wish. So yeah. Okay, sorry. So for those top 10, so the first three that are just, if you guys want them, I can do them as like one big stream. Or it wouldn't even be a big stream, but I could do them all as one stream. My top 10 albums of the year, my top 10. Well, I don't even know if I can do a top 10. I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch a lot of new movies this year that came out in 2025 at least. But a top 10 movies, and then the Giant 14. Nice. And then top 10 shows of the year, which the shows list would include anime, so it wouldn't be like top 10 TV shows and top 10 anime. They're just shows, so anime and the TV shows are together. Because honestly, the last half of this year, I haven't had Crunchyroll, so I'm so behind on anime, and I didn't even keep up during the summer. I kept up with My Dress Up Darling, and that was it. I don't think I kept it. I haven't seen Don to Don season 2. I didn't watch Kaiju No 8 season 2. I didn't watch I haven't watched My Hero Academia. Because I caught up in the manga. I just don't care. Which is wrong to say, because the anime, even if it is a one-for-one recreation, it's still completely different, because you have the music, you have the voice acting, the different animation style that isn't quite what the Mangekyo style is, but it takes its base off of the Mangekyo art style, but it isn't one for one every time. So so that's why the shows and anime would be one list, because I honestly, outside of that, like, I can't remember too many other animes that I've seen this year. I kept up at the beginning of the year. And then TV shows, I was thinking about this the other day. I haven't seen too many TV shows this year, all things considered. Like, I had to really think about it. So there was Stranger Things. I saw Stranger Things. I watched Welcome to Derry. Welcome to Derry, Has Been Hotel, and I forgot that fucking Squid Games. Squid Games was this year, season 3 of Squid Games. I can't remember if season 2. FNAF 2 moments. Did you all like, if you guys have watched Suko and Mothra, did you guys like the FNAF reference in the Suko and Mothra review? There's one in there. If you haven't seen it, there is a FNAF 2 reference in the review. The only anime I watched this past year was City, the animation. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that one. So, I don't know. I can't remember. I'd have to go through. I did keep up with stuff at the beginning of the year, but once we got to the summer, it basically, like, My Dress Up Darling season 2, and that was basically it for me. Because because all the other shows that I'm thinking of, oh, good, thanks, Sharktopus. I was gonna say it was like that. I had that thought in my live stream during the unboxing live stream to do that FNAF. There is a moment you can almost see it on my face when I look at the roaring head. That was my first like instinct. I was like, I'm saving this for the review. So I didn't make a 6-7 joke in the review. I have the meme of Suko doing it, but I didn't do it in the review. Instead, I wanted to do other things, and I sadly, in the hustle and bustle of having to record that review twice, edit that review start to finish twice, for the most part, and then publishing it from my iPad and not the PC, it caused a lot of things, and then by the second time I had to do my voiceover, I forgot to do half the references in the review that I wanted to, so I apologize. I didn't watch in theaters because I knew Jesus, Shark. I don't want to say valid, but yeah. See, and that's why I didn't go see Chainsaw. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kitten, meow. I'm kitten. God. This year I'm gonna be way more unhinged. I need to put this PA sticker on stream a little bit more. This year I want to be a little bit more unhinged. I want to be kind of back to my roots. I feel like this last year, dealing with so much, as a lot of people did last year, not just me. I feel like everyone globally last year kind of just felt like a struggle of a year. But then, like, obviously I feel like the US is one of them that are struggling a little bit more. So, and obviously we're starting off the year very peacefully already. But we're not going to talk about that here. This is an escape from all of that. But this year I want to be more unhinged. I want to be, in 2023 I was doing skits and reviews. The very few streams that we did were all drinking streams and hot sauce streams. So they were just like insanity anyways, because once I've had a few drinks, you guys know I get kind of fucking crazy. So I am going to be swearing a little bit more as well. I just, last year was kind of like a hurting and healing year, and this year is also going to be a healing year, but I want to do that just kind of being a little bit more. What a peaceful... Yeah. Very disappointed. No new Toy Wars. Yeah, no new Toy Wars. Yeah, and that's something I'm actually going to focus on too, is trying to be a little bit more positive and a little less negative with companies that I don't collect, but still keeping my point of being like, if I'm not going to buy a figure, I'm not going to critique it too hard, because if I was never going to buy it anyways, like, my opinion doesn't matter because I'm not buying the figure. I said it during the review. I wasn't going to compare 3D digitally sculpted promo photos that the figures aren't even going to look like, for the Haya, Mothra, and Suko set, to the what is in my hands MonsterArts set. It just is illogical to compare the two until you have that set in hands. You can say whatever you want about the promos. That promo debate goes away when one of the figures is released. It was one thing, like back when Evolved happened, when the MonsterArts and the Haya hadn't released yet. Comparing promo photos makes sense. The figures aren't out yet, even though MonsterArts still had a physical prototype, but still. And then when they released, comparisons again. So, but by the time that set happens, I mean, the Suko Mothra MonsterArts set is going to be out of rotation. I think pretty expensive. I'm glad to bash Haya since they usually learn. See, and that's the thing. I don't mind being critical of Haya, but sometimes I get a little, simply put it, a little hate fucky, to be honest. So And that's mainly, I don't want to say it's not even Haya's fault, because there are things Haya does as a company that drives me up the wall. And that's not just like looking at it from a Tamashi versus Haya. That's looking at it as a guy who has for basically my whole life has worked customer service. I've worked factory jobs with, making something and producing it and creating tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions of a product, because the product I was making was really easy to make a lot of them. I can't say what it was because under that job, I can't talk about it because, contracts and stuff, even though I don't work there anymore. And it's been years. But making a lot of product, um, that's why I give MONSTERARTS a little bit more leeway. It's funny, I started selling my MONSTERARTS collection when I got that job, and then I learned some of the things at the time that I was frustrated with MONSTERARTS on. I learned why those things were that way because I got this production job. And that's why sometimes I can be a little bit more lenient for MONSTERARTS, and even sometimes Haya as well. Um, but a lot of my initial frustration with Haya was because of the fans of Haya just having to, you know, bring up the debate constantly. I remember in the end of 23 when the -1 Godzilla came out for MONSTERARTS, I couldn't even bring it up because people would just be like, but Haya, but Haya. It's like, Haya doesn't have a -1, so it doesn't fucking matter. I don't care. GMK is looking good, but I had to buy matte spray. Yeah, dude, I'm glad that the sculpt ended up coming out a bit more thicker than I was initially seeing. It looked really soft, and it looks like it got a little better, but they got a and the same thing, actually, I want to say the same thing goes for Tamashi for their Ultraman line as well. We need matte plastic. The Ultramen, the reds on them and the blues should not be shiny for the most part. The silvers, yes, but not the reds. So that's something both companies need to work on. I think the comparison is fine with the promo pics if you have a review. Preconceived. But you see, I can't do that with Haya because Haya, when they release the promos to the actual figure releases, it's a completely different figure at that point. So I I can't, at least personally, I don't want to even. I'll put it that far. It's not that I can't. I don't want to compare something that I know is not going to look like how it's going to look like, compared to a MONSTERARTS that is in my hands. You can't say that this is going to change because it's right here, where with Haya and Super 7 and a lot of modern companies, and it's fair, this is a design choice, it's fine. When you digitally sculpt it, you can change it throughout the process. It's the same thing with Legendary. Why MONSTERARTS can't release a CGI accurate figure besides Evolved, because none of the models were done. I guess people were saying Kong didn't change between the movies, but it was a different Kong model, which means MONSTERARTS in theory, should have changed it a little bit, but didn't, which is fine. If we get a 2.0 in like 2 or 3 years, then whatever, or for the next movie, because they're gonna have to do. So for Supernova, a prediction I'll have at the end of this year, if we don't already know what the figures look like, they're going to. I actually do hope with this next movie, they do something to the Kong and the base Godzilla, if Godzilla goes back to base at least. We don't know. Excuse me. I hope they go and actually change the figures, because if they release these figures for the 4th or 5th time, I will have some comments, and I already have some things to say about the Kong 2024 once I get to that review. Now that I have the whole New Empire line, once I'm done with that review, I'll talk about it there. I do have some critiques with that figure, and I just want to put into the world my thoughts on what I think Tamashi should do for Supernova. It's going to be a pretty big ask. It is and isn't at the same time, at least, but We'll see. We'll see. Let me catch up with these comments really quick. It was corn. It was what was corn? The fans for the Haya that have always debate piss me off. Like, I see at base. Initially, I understood it when Haya first started. When that first Godzilla dropped, I got it. Okay. Monster Arts was the only, because I don't count NECA in this. Monster Arts was the only highly articulated figure line at the time. Really. You know, NECA was kind of there, but their figures really didn't get really articulatable until a few in, because the 2014 doesn't actually really pose that well. Well, okay, that's incorrect. It's not that it doesn't pose well, it just doesn't have a lot of range, but the range it does have, it does look good, for the most part. There was a few things, but like, you know, it was 2014. And it's a hard design to make a figure of, to make it anatomically correct to the CGI model while also making it articulatable. You have to break up the sculpt somehow, you know. And that's what one of the things I think Yuji Sakai really struggled with the Monsterverse design for Godzilla, and why that figure still, up until Evolved at least, is the way that it is. You know, kind of how I'm thinking, if that makes sense. I stopped worrying about fans a while ago. I used to hate MV Gozy because of fans, but goddamn, yeah, there's... And I mean, it works both ways too. I don't want to sit here and be this small fan that acts like there isn't SH Monster Arts fans that go on Haya posts and do the exact same thing, where they have to bring up Monster Arts on every Haya post, or in every Monster Arts review they have to bring up Haya, you know, or what I was doing last year, where it wasn't all the time, but like there are Monster Arts reviews where I do clearly take little pot shots at Haya. It's childish and it's dumb. At the time, I thought I was just being competitive, rage baiting, but like now, like we're already a year in, it's like, well, shit, I wasn't helping the problem at all either. So, but also like some of that was a reaction to people just not letting me not like the Haya figure either. You know, when I got that Haya 2024 re-evolved, people were not happy that I didn't like that figure. And it's just like, I just didn't like it. Like, you know, sorry. It just wasn't that good. Tanner, I completely agree. Ah, it's all good. Alex, and you can keep that too. It's all, you know, all opinion. It's all good. Yeah. Well, and even with Haya, I haven't done comparisons because I'm not trying to put so much, you know, time and effort into it. I'd rather be taking photos, but I'm pretty sure that the prototype, the physical prototypes of the Suko, I don't think the Mothra is different, but the Suko that was revealed at SDCC already doesn't look like the same sculpt that's on those render promos. It looked slightly different, but I didn't also look at them and compare, so maybe they are, and they just look different because one's a digital, you know, fully colorized version, and then the other one is a statue, an unpainted statue prototype. So clearly Super 7 Mogs both. Yeah, there's that Kiryu Godzilla and that Shin Godzilla. So good. Not for me. The stylization on those figures are not for me. There's no judgment here in the chat. I, once again, not a big fan of them, but that is completely opinion. Those are completely stylized figures. And in fact, I would say they almost take like the Safubi style and they're trying to add it to these, you know, classic large American style toys, you know, these retro style toys. And it doesn't really work for me in these situations. I would still like to get the Shin because I'm a Shin collector, just to have it. Oh, look at that. Who is that? Is that a Tater? There he was. But I can completely respect, and I'm completely happy for any collectors that are excited to get those two figures. So if you're expecting them, I'm happy for you. Not judging, just please get what you want to, and what you want to enjoy, and lead with that, you know. That's the best one. Oh yeah, we're all praying messed up with the photos. They're gonna use the model. Yeah. Well, with the 95, we've already talked about the 95 thing on the channel. But yeah, that to me is a red flag. But that's opinion. That's opinion. Oh, ooh, that touched a dry spot in my throat. That didn't feel good. Hi, Bubba. Hi, Bubba. Look at Tater. There he is. Hi, Bubba. It's been a while since you've been on stream, Bubby. Are you a good boy? Uh-huh. He's like, I want attention. Attention, Papa. Attention. Oh, there he's head. There you go, Bubba. What a good boy. You can see him on the bottom right, guys, if you are confused. That 95, yeah. The prototype at SDCC was way better than the promos, so that's why I look at Haya with a raised eyebrow, because it's like, if you know you've got a better prototype, just show that one off instead. But I do actually, I was talking about it with a friend of mine. I do actually have a theory on why Haya has kind of gone insane with their release schedule, and it is critical, but it is like using actual business like experience in my life, being in these situations, of course not being like an upper management, not knowing like the financial side, but knowing what the physical production style and like how that can change with molds and things. I actually do have a few ideas on why Haya is the way it is, and when they said earlier, or when they said last year that they're going to work on focusing on, one, reducing the gap between the release dates of the initial China release and then the global/US release, but also fix the delaying problem, so figures shouldn't be as delayed or delayed at all, hopefully. When I broke it down, I was really thinking about it. I was like, okay, I can see how they're going to fix this, but they're acting like it's going to happen in like 2 months, and it's going to take a lot longer than that. So I do think in 2 years, if Haya can get their shit together, in 2 years they're going to be releasing things basically like Tamashi does, where promos go up, here's the month, mostly everyone gets it that month, on that release date. So I think they do have a good shot at recovering it, which is good for the Haya collectors. So if they can improve and they become even more competition for MONSTERARTS, fuck it, let them, because if it's going to keep pushing MONSTERARTS to improve in the way that they have with 2000 and 72 Ghidorah tentatively until I get mine, and a few of the other figures like Megaguirus, and hopefully what Kaiser will be next year or even in 2027, if it doesn't come out in 2026. Let them. I don't have a problem. It's healthy competition. There has to be competition for improvement, and we're there. So it's good. It's good. Okay. Well, we got, not that I mind because we're having good discussions, and that's kind of what this first stream was meant to be. It was supposed to be like talking about some of the stuff I plan on doing for January and a little bit into February, and then just kind of hanging out and talking. So I'm glad that we're kind of just like doing all of it kind of naturally, so I can kind of spread out the 2025 stuff, because I know some of it's exciting, but some of it's also not. So I'm going to try to get to these lists sooner than later, because obviously analytics wise it's better to get to them sooner. In a month no one's going to care about top 10s. By the time January is done, top 10s just aren't quite as fancy, so I don't want to wait too long. Haya is still basically a new company. Well, see, and that's not true. I don't think Haya's a new company. Haya was doing some stuff before Godzilla stuff for a while. They were just new to Godzilla, because this is Haya's 5th year, or excuse me, only 3rd year with Godzilla. I know they released that. I always think that because the 21 released first, that because it was the 21 first, that means it came out in 21, but that's not true. It didn't come out in 21. It was 23, as in Godzilla 23. So that was the first one that they did. I just realized I had the screen just only on me. I apologize. I should have just had this up. I didn't want you guys staring at my ugly mug that long. I apologize. So hopefully you guys didn't go blind for me being bald. Haya's a granny. Yeah, that's what I thought, because they've been doing slightly some anime figures, but they've been doing like Walking Dead stuff and just some army stuff. Yeah, they've been the Godzilla stuff is new, but they've been doing other things for quite a while. And supposedly the other lines aren't like the Godzilla stuff either. I'm told like the Walking Dead stuff actually does come out within a respectable amount of time, but once again, just like Tamashi, it's not one team working on all the Walking Dead, Godzilla, and everything else that they do. Just like Tamashi, it's not one team for all the Monster Arts releases and then one team for all the anime figure arts and Ultraman and stuff. Each licensing has its own team. So there's a team for the Godzilla Monster Arts, there's a team for the Gamera, there's a team for the Monster Hunter, a team for Yu-Gi-Oh! You switch over to SHF, there's a different person for the Dragon Ball line, different One Piece. In 2009, wow, 2009. Holy shit, they're going to be 20 years old in 3 years. Holy cow. Yeah, well, see, now some of my my lightheartedness with them, I kind of want to pull that back, because a company after 20 years should not be making mistakes like that. Then I don't think the Walking Dead fans are always crying about every detail. No, they aren't. It's a guy. Well, I don't want to say it's just a Godzilla thing, because the Dragon Ball community is the same way, with the SH Figure Arts Dragon Ball line. Just admittingly, this sounds negative, but like this is something I've thought about doing a live stream on. I'm going to talk about the Dragon Ball and Godzilla community at the same time here. Both have a very high amount of people that I think are just really big complainers. I mean that positively as I can. I'm not trying to judge people. Like, if people want to be picky, by all means, go be picky. It's just both communities, for their toy communities, oddly have a lot of picky people that will also go and nitpick people's opinions of the figures that they're nitpicking as well. They do the double up. They nitpick, like me. I have people that nitpick me because I like Monster Arts, and I like something about a Monster Arts that they're already nitpicking. So I get double nitpicked because I like the Monster Arts and the Monster Arts itself. So, but I mean, people do the same thing to high-end collectors and everything. But I do think Dragon Ball fans and the Godzilla collectors are kind of in the same, because people say the same thing about Dragon Ball. Like, Dragon Ball will do a new release and people will just like be frustrated, which there are some things that the Dragon Ball line are continually making. There are some frustrating things there, but like to the point where half of the community is only buying third-party figures, I don't think it's ever gone that bad. I just, we've already had the discussion on the channel. I just can't bootlegs. I can't justify bootlegs, but I also don't judge anyone who buys bootlegs. If you don't want to spend $300 on the Monster Arts Ghidorah and you go with the $120 bootleg, I mean, sure. I'm not gonna judge someone for that. You know, I get that. So, yeah, when people are talking about a figure and they're like, "How do the fans like this? It's so icky." Yeah. Or just like the people that are like, well, everyone's saying it's shit, and then you go on Instagram or Facebook, or even, I like using X now, because I like specifically going to the Japanese collectors with Monster Arts, because at the end of the day, that's what the Monster Arts Tamashi team cares about. They have been a little bit more open to listening to us here in the US. They have been the last few years. It's obvious because the line has been going up. No matter what anyone says, the last 2 or 3 years has been very positive for the Monster Arts line. I think it's been going up slowly. I think last year there was a huge gap. I mean, even 24 was a really good year as well. But, you know, so I think they're listening. But the Japanese fans are the ones I like to listen to the most, because they're the ones that do all the strong arm when it comes to getting things actually changed and done in the Monster Arts line, and just all of Tamashi in general. There's a few lines where Tamashi listens to the US collectors or the global collectors as much as the Japanese fans. The Dragon Ball SH Figure Arts line is that line. They're the main one, because that line wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the US fans. So that's why people need to stop. That's yeah. I feel like, to sum this up, because I feel like I'm complaining and not, you know, because it's not like, this isn't a conversation I was planning on having, and that's why the stream hasn't happened. This is one that I would want to prepare for, because I don't want to insult people either. I don't want to make it seem like people can't have nitpicks, or if they buy, even, if they buy a Godzilla 2000, Monster Arts, it's 120, $130, and they get it and they have nitpicks with it, they don't like something, yeah, that's valid. I don't want to make someone feel like they can't not like a figure, just because I think 2000 is like the best thing since sliced bread doesn't mean that it actually is. So someone not liking it, we just need to insult insulters. That doesn't help. We see that with grifting. Grifting the grifters, short term works, but long term doesn't work the best all the time. So, but I guess to kind of leave that discussion for another day, I obviously I have opinions. I'm trying to have less opinions on the things I don't buy, because there's just no point having opinions on the things I don't plan on buying, because I don't plan on buying them. I'm not using my hard-earned money on them, so having too strong of an opinion kind of, to me at least, seems a little silly. But I get it. That's how lines change, is when you have the people that are buying the figures and the people that aren't buying figures are doing it. I just think people need to do it a better way, which people still don't use the QR codes for the figure surveys for Monster Arts. The best way to let Tamashi know that you want, or the second best way I should say, you want to let Tamashi know that they need to improve, it's by scanning the QR code and doing those quality surveys. The next best thing is just not buying a product, because there's more examples of it not working, but a figure doing really bad they do see that. So, dog, I know someone grifting about toys right now. Adding your own personal, yeah, there's a clear difference between sharing and then, yeah, which I think there is a bit, especially in the Godzilla community, a bit of people having their opinions and then pretending like their opinion should be everyone else's opinion. I think the same thing comes to the X Plus discussion. I feel like X Plus and Monster Arts both are kind of in the hot seat for the last 2 years. Alex, I know you're also kind of in the same bucket, not being super excited about all the reissues from X Plus, but at the same time, like, those reissues give collectors new opportunities to not have to spend $4,000 on a 25 centimeter, Shin Godzilla, as an example, for an immediate one, or the GMK set that released last year. But at the same time, when all they're doing is reissues, it sucks for someone like Alex, who has there's a Godzilla that he wants, and they should have already done it by now, admittingly, and it hasn't happened yet, and that keeps getting pushed back because they're just pushing reissues instead. So, like, there's very fair points to both sides of the coin, and that's why I kind of want to say, like, collecting community, and not just Monster Arts, because it's not just the articulated, section of the hobby anymore. I think all of the sections are. It happens with the X Plus, the high-end vinyl statues. It happens with Movie Monster Series. It happens with Safubi. I think it's something with the community, which is fine. Once again, it's fine because it started some interesting debates. I've had interesting debates and just discussions with people with those different things. It's why, the friends that I have, it's really nice. Like, I'm the Monster Arts guy in my friend group. Almost no one else buys Monster Arts even slightly. I like the two other gentlemen that do, Adam and a good friend of mine, RJ. They might get a Monster Arts a year, maybe a new one, so like 2000, one of them got 2000, one's waiting for the Haya. And the Godzilla 2000 Haya is supposed to drop soon as well. That's the other thing dropping soon. So there you go. It clicked in my brain. But so, like, it's all good. The thing, I guess, I want to move on just in case, but uh, collect what you want to collect. Don't let anyone else's opinion tell you otherwise. If you buy, oh God, what's uh, uh, if you bought the Playmates Rodan 2019 and you're happy with it, and everyone else is saying it's bad, screw everyone else. If you enjoy it, that's all that matters. So, at the end of the day, at least hopefully, it's your money, and that's all that really matters. Or if it's like it's a gift from Christmas, from a family member, or any of the holidays surrounding the end of the year, or a birthday, or whichever holiday or day you're celebrating, or just a random gift. As long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters. So, and if you're a new collector in a line and they're doing a lot of reissues and a lot of collectors are kind of upset with it, don't let it try to break you down. Keep your head high, because eventually you will get to their point where reissues will be slightly annoying. Where I'm kind of, when thinking about the SH Figure Arts Ultraman line this year, I didn't realize that there was less Ultraman releases this year compared to other years. There was only 19, I think, and almost half of them were New Generation Stars release figures. And like, for me in the Ultraman line, recollecting it, it's good for me. But watching, especially the Japanese reviews, the Japanese collectors review these new gen figures, these aren't really going well in Japan, some of them. A lot of the Japanese collectors are not happy with the New Generation Star versions of some of these characters. So, and they're definitely not happy that 8 releases of the year were already done to that. And I think the same thing is going to happen to MONSTERARTS this year, because it is very likely that we are for sure getting 6 movie graphic line figure releases. And that is going to put, even though, some of them so far have been really good reissues that needed to happen, GMK in 2014, I don't care, and Climaction, I don't care what anyone says, those 3 had to happen. We had to get reissues of those 3 figures. They needed it. 2014 you could debate, because you could say that they should have done a 2.0, but to fill out holes in a collection, just having a representation, for some people is enough. But I think people at the end of this year are going to be kind of burnt out, because it looks like half the releases are going to be reissues this year, and that is kind of rough. I'm not going to deny that. It's going to work out for me, because most of them I need. GMK and Climaction, yeah, those 2 for sure. I can see the debate for 2014, but Climaction and GMK were like, you're talking about 2 figures on the aftermarket that were $300. Like, yeah, they need to get done. Or people, I did see a few people complaining about Destroyer's reissue. I don't want to spend $500 on Destroyer, and now I don't have to. It didn't make the market crash on the other 2, though. The other 2 actually ended up getting more expensive. The special color version I saw took a pretty big leap. Went up about 10,000 yen in some spots. So, but and then like the junior set, some people aren't happy about the junior set price, which we haven't done a live stream yet, so you guys are getting a little early, a little additional early look at the junior stuff. My opinions on junior, right? Yeah, because we just did the promos, so this isn't the the discussion. Well, I guess that was the discussion. Never mind. The junior set, I saw some people still complaining about the set being $200, and it's like, well, junior now is like a $250 aftermarket, those first 2 releases, and the evolution set is $300 plus. And that's people admitting that they don't even have the set and they wanted the set. It's like, so you want to spend $500 on the older figures and not $200 on a set of them together? I don't know, you know. So, but that just proves that no matter what, you can't make everyone happy. Which goes back into my point of just enjoy what you want, buy what you want. If you get a figure and everyone else is saying it's garbage, but once you get it in hand and you enjoy it, there's nothing wrong with being able to enjoy it. Um, you know, especially if there's like a figure where you can be like, oh yeah, like the Suko Mothra set. That roaring head is it's kind of fucked, right? It's cursed. But I like it because it's cursed. We've seen this on the channel. I like the weird, creepy Manila figures and Minya figures. So, like, the fact that it is so cursed is what gives me an appreciation for it. So I'm able to be nicer to it because that's part of my aesthetic. I like the really weird, like accidental horror things. It kind of looks like Pennywise, in some ways. So it's like, I like being goofy and stuff. So when they come out a little goofy like that, it doesn't bother me too much. But being critical and being a reviewer, I also had to state that it's okay not to like this head sculpt. I'm liking this because it's a personal thing, an opinion, So that's my point, is just enjoy whatever you want, guys. It's okay to be critical of things. Just don't try to stress out about it too much. If there's a Monster Arts coming out and you really don't like it, don't get wrapped up in it too much. It's okay not to like it. Absolutely, it's okay to come on to one of my streams and have a nice, healthy debate. I'm all for it. During the appropriate times, of course. But also, for the toy companies I don't enjoy, I don't follow them anymore. I'll say it like that. I respect them. When my friends or fellow collectors in Facebook groups or Instagram get them and post them, I'll even share them. I'll comment. I'll be happy for people. I just don't follow the companies myself. Like Haya, I don't follow Haya anywhere. Just they're just not for me. So I'm not gonna. I don't need to see them releasing things. I kind of have to because debate wise, it's going to be brought up, but like I'm not like stressing out about it anymore, or same thing with like Spiral or anything like that, Spiral Studio, or even a lot of Safubi companies I kind of stopped following because it's just like I don't want even the idea of like, oh, this beautiful colorway is out. I don't want the feeling like I have to get it. So I've kind of like, I've had to take a step back for my own self-control, because I know that I can get a little, oh, I need it, and then I end up not getting anything because I'm trying to find a way to spend money in all these different lines, and then I end up not even getting, the things, not everything that I would like, Does that make sense? And it's why the collection is focused now. We're being focused. My goals are, I know what I see the end of the tunnel. 62 needs it. Yeah, 62 movie graphic needs to happen. And there's going to be people that are going to complain, which I know the main complaint isn't even going to be that it's getting a reissue. It's getting a reissue without a beam effect. I can't really say anything to that situation because like the line doesn't have accessories, but the original release did have an accessory, so it's like, ooh. And you can't tell me a paper poster replaces an effect piece in a Tamashii stand. I can't even defend that. So when that situation happens, it's going to be an interesting day for me, because it's going to be, once I see it, it's like, well, it doesn't have the beam. Unless they're going to do a heat ray, the line doesn't include accessories, so no. Even if they did a heat ray version of it for the movie graphic, it's still not going to have the beam. So once we get to there with 62, it's going to be interesting. Of course, when they don't have a million Heisei figures to release, it's time to reissue everything. That's every line though. MONSTERARTS, which is untrue for MONSTERARTS this year, low key. This is a stream This is a tease for a stream that's coming out soon, is what I expect for. So it's basically a two-part stream. It's going to be once we have everything through June, which we're going to by next week. I'm going to do a stream looking at the front half of everything that's announced and what I think. So hopefully it happens before the end of the month so I can get ahead of the January releases. And then in that stream, I also want to do what I am expecting for the last half of 2026. How are we going to end the year? Because with Monster Arts, we're actually in a kind of a weird spot. So either they're going to have to pick up releases and start doing doubles. So one general release and one shop exclusive, which they're already showing that they're doing that because 2014 and Heat Ray Final Wars drop in the same month. I wouldn't be surprised if we have 2 or 3 months this year that is the same. With movie graphics, that gets us through July and August for Japan. So like, and we have Odo Island, we have Kaiser now, we have Godzilla the Ride. No one has talked about this yet, but Godzilla Minus Zero comes out this year, and you bet your ass that figure will at least be announced when the trailer is. I don't think the figure will be out by the time it's actually out in Japan, unless they do the thing that I'm kind of afraid that they might do, and that's literally just using the -1 design rather than changing it a little bit. So then Tamashi could just repack the figure and drop it like they did with the new Empire figures, but hopefully it's not that way. Hopefully, but we'll see. Hot take: I hate the 2014 dorsal plates. They look like Shogun Metal. I like the 2014 dorsal plates. They're just different. It gives me 98 vibes a little bit, but also like I just kind of like that aesthetic. Now, personally, I like the crazier dorsal plates more. So like Shins or Godzilla 2000s are a little bit, or -1s especially, are a little bit more my speed. But I do have a good appreciation for 2014's dorsal plates, in my opinion at least. So I want the Dorito 2014 for that reason, dude. And it's an easy figure to buy, or an easy figure to find too. In Japan, they're all over. That's those kind of like weird like Japan exclusive releases are some of the ones I'm gonna focus when I go to Japan this trip. So we're talking the Night Color 2019. That's gonna be a fun review. That's gonna be a fun review. I'm not lying. It's either gonna go really good or really bad. Dorito 2014, and then like the poster 2019. Like, I'm pretty excited for those. But he has cat ears. That would be, I mean, then it's a different head sculpt at least. So, you know. And then, so we're supposed to get the Ride, which is that design but slightly changed, and then -0, which could be that design but slightly changed. So like, you know, we could be getting a lot of -1 -1 quote unquote, you know, for this year. So I'm interested to see how they're going to do that. So that makes me think that the Ride figure is probably going to be it's either going to be one of the next announcements, or it's going to be one of the last announcements for the year, or even into next year. So I'm interested to see, because we kind of know that the Ride, the Great Clash Ride Godzilla Monster Arts, is there to see if there's interest in these figures. That figure has to do well to potentially get the rest of the Ride characters. You know, the Mecha or Kiju Breaker, the Ghidorah. I don't think they would do Rodan, but hey, if we could get a Monster Arts Ride Rodan before movie monster series, I'll take it. So, but that figure has to do well for us to get those. But I wonder if it's the figure has to sell well, or if it's just there has to be enough, like, after showing that Godzilla, there has to be enough demand for that Mecha Godzilla, or that 21 Ride Godzilla, or the 21 Ride Ghidorah, for those to start being planned. And then the Godzilla will go up on pre-order later once we have a part. It'll be the Kiju Breaker Mecha Godzilla, but a partner to go with it. Because once again, they do like to release some releases in sets, even if they don't come out right next to each other. They do like doing the set things. We literally just saw it with the Final Wars Goji and Kaiser's announcement. We will. This isn't confirmed, but it is obvious. We're going to see it with Godzilla 1975 and Titanosaurus and Mechagodzilla 75. I do think one of the 75 villains will be at least teased this year. Like promo photo, prototype, or full solicitation. I think it probably would be Mechagodzilla. But we'll see. We did get teased by the Articulation series. He did make, for his New Year's post, he did say some long-awaited announcements are coming. And I don't think that necessarily includes Kaiser, because obviously Kaiser is probably like, now that we have a closer to the suit Godzilla 2000. It's not one for one, obviously, but it is closer than the Sakai. Kaiser's probably the next runner-up for most requested Monster Arts. I'm gonna say that everything I've seen and everything I've heard, especially from the Japanese Monster Arts collectors, Kaiser, maybe up until Legion was announced, was probably number one. Now I don't know if that changed after Legion came out, because then we saw basically we saw the future, and that's Kaiser's going to be $400+. It just is what it is. So if you guys really want it, I would say start saving for it ASAP. I honestly, seeing what we have for the first half, and I'll probably talk about this in that stream that I was talking about, looking at 2026 for Monster Arts and Figure Arts. It's gonna be like a Toy News. It's not just going to be Monster Arts. I would like it to be possibly even everything. So it might even have some non-Monster Arts and Ultraman Figure Arts figures that interest me. I'm not gonna have too many things that I wouldn't buy. So like, you're not gonna see a ton of high on there. It would be like if Frog Tree announces another Shin Godzilla color variant. If I really want it, it would go in there, stuff like that. So it wouldn't just be locked to the Tamashii Nations things, because that's something I want to do this year. Tamashii Monster Arts very specifically is the focus, but like once we get closer to the Japan trip and Shin Godzilla stuff starts getting announced for the 10th anniversary for Japan, there is going to be a slight pivot to start focusing on Shin Godzilla stuff again. We were doing that a little bit this summer in August, when the 4K stuff was coming out. I did stop, it's why I don't have Suko and Mothra and Mechagodzilla. I got them later is because I focused the 4K Godzilla, Shin Godzilla stuff, so. But that's the thing. If you guys are wanting Kaiser, I would recommend skipping. I would honestly tell people, if Kaiser is like a really big want, I would potentially skip out on every other Monster Arts release. If you could only buy one because of the price point, I would recommend waiting for the promo and the solicitation, obviously. Let's see it first. But not getting anything else and only getting that figure. Just like Legion, I think that is going to be like a display maker. It is going to be super cool once Kaiser eventually comes out, seeing Monster Arts collectors that have everything, or at least one of everything, seeing Kaiser next to Showa Ghidorah, both Heisei Ghidorahs, Legion, 2019 Ghidorah. As much as people don't like that figure has presence. Whether it's good presence or bad presence, whether it's a good presence or bad presence, it still has presence. And seeing them and Legion next to each other, and then we're going to be adding Kaiser, which should be on Legion's scale of huge, and 2019 Ghidorah's scale of huge, seeing all of them next to each other and destroy and Biollante, like, that's what gets me excited, is getting the large kaiju all next to each other, even though it means the review is going to be even harder because it's already hard to fit all these goddamn things onto screens sometimes. You moved on to from Kaiser. That's fair, and that's the other thing. If it's just, if MSRP is going to be so high that it's too stressful, even to think about saving for it, then don't worry about it. Don't stress about pre-orders. You know, just if it's going to be too much, just skip it. You know. If you're a big Final Wars fan, I think that Heat Ray and Gotengo set is going to be more than enough, I think, for people. As long as the QC on that Godzilla is improved. That is something that admittingly is scary. If the joints are like the reissue, which I don't think they will be because Japan complained about the reissue quite a bit, it is not selling very well in Japan. And it was a requested reissue. It was a requested reissue, and it's not doing very well. So I think the heat ray radiation version should be improved. So, but that's speculation. That's speculation. Kaiser's gonna be huge. I don't. That's the other thing with Monsters. I don't want to throw all the cards out on the table. Rebirth of Mothra and just Mothra in general's anniversary is this year. I think we could be seeing reissues for the Heisei, Mothra, and Batra. I think it's finally time we get decisive battle versions of Mothra and Batra, which I do know that those are also heavily requested. The Batra set specifically is almost, it's very expensive in Japan. We're talking $400 or $500 in Japan, so it's not very common. It's very expensive to get one unopened. And then there was, at that time, Tamashii was going through some huge quality issues. That figure run has a potential of being broken straight out of the box. There are reports of things breaking in transit. So even things just sitting on a shelf for almost 10 years now, could still break. So I'm hoping we get the Heisei Mothra, and hopefully a tease that Batra as well will get a reissue. I don't know how they're going to do it, because now we had the Imagos individually and the Larvas together, and then we had the Imago and the Larva form sets. I don't think they can decisive battle the super or the special color versions. They have to be different somehow. I don't know what they're going to do. So that's where I'm like, well, maybe instead of doing that, they might just do Heisei Mothra stuff. I do think we're going to see a Mothra from the trilogy, and I do think we're going to see one of the villains, probably Death Ghidorah. I don't think it would be Dagarla, and I hesitate to think that they're going to drop Kaiser Ghidorah and Grand King Ghidorah in the same year. But we literally just went from Mecha King Ghidorah to Iris to a year off, a year break, to Legion and Ghidorah and Destroya, to this year Kaiser Ghidorah and more. You know what I mean? For like big releases. Right now we only have Kaiser. Something else is coming. There should be one more large Godzilla or Gamera kaiju release. So I also do think this year or next year we should be getting the Guardians of the Universe movie 1 figures from Gamera. So yeah. Kaiser's going to be huge, yeah. Kaiser's going to be wide, and that's the same thing with Des Ghidorah. I don't think Des Ghidorah is actually going to be like huge, because height-wise, Des Ghidorah isn't that large. It's just super long and wide. And that's kind of the same thing with Kaiser, where Kaiser is tall, but he's only 140 meters. So, like, he's not outpacing, technically, Biollante or 2019 Ghidorah. But it's the width and the 4 legs and the tails. So, yeah. Look, I made a list of the most hyped figures of 2016, and Monster X was number one. So yeah, that's true as well. And Haya is going to do Kaiser eventually, and it's going to be a lot more inexpensive, and it's going to be even larger because they're in the 7-inch scale and not in 6-inch. So that's the other thing. As much as I love Monster Arts, I have no problem telling people just wait for the Haya. It's not like Legion where it's like we may never get another highly articulated Legion ever again. Ever. I don't think Haya's going to do it because Haya doesn't have Gamera, but that doesn't mean that they won't. But no one else is going to do it. So with Monster Arts, it was a little different, being like, well, it's $600, but this is your one shot, and then it's over. You won't be able to probably ever get it unless it's requested, and that's what Legion is. And there, I did hear another follow up to even if Legion's requested, there is still a very good chance that Legion might still never come out again. It may never get a reissue. But with Kaiser, Haya's gonna do it because regardless of what people want to say, Haya does have a good habit of copying Monster Arts. Monster Arts announces something, Haya makes it shortly after. Monster Arts releases a Suko and Mothra set, which I'm not saying that Haya completely copied Monster Arts, because that is literally the only logical thing you could do, because it doesn't make sense to release Mothra individually. Suko, what made sense to throw in with a Kong, but I understand why they didn't do, it wasn't Kong and Suko, and it was Mothra and Suko, because Mothra is a harder sell individually, so it makes sense. So I'm not saying that Haya completely ripped off Monster Arts. It's the logical choice. But at the same time, it's like, well, at the same time, it's still like, it would have been one thing if they were right next to each other, but it's been almost 2 years since New Empire. It took them over a year and a half to announce it. So not a bad thing, not critiquing Haya, but at the same time being like, well, it does prove the point. GMK, Kiryu Goji, Kiryu itself, Scar, once again Scar, Monster X. They're doing a lot of things that Monster Arts has already done, rather than hitting Orga or any of the GMK GMK protagonists, I should say, or anything like that, or any of the Heisei things that we're missing, which we're really not missing much. But if Haya dropped an 84, I can't see nothing as a Monster Arts fan. That's just a Monster Arts L. If Haya gets the 84 announcement before Monster Arts, that's just a W for Haya. There's nothing to say. There is actually no excuse for us not to have an 84 in the Monster Arts line. I actually do think there's a zero. Now that Kaiser's kind of teased, I've started thinking about another stream, which would be what's next for Monster Arts. What is the next big desired thing? I think 84 is probably up there. As a in general, what should the line have? Not an opinion, a voting thing. I want to do that as well. I want people to vote, see what the next big desired monster it is. But I think thinking about it critically, and what the Monster Arts line represents anyways, it was Yuji Sakai finding a way to make articulated Heisei figures specifically. Why do we not have 84? There's just no reason not to have 84 in the line. Which, I mean, to be fair, this means that 84 is going to be, hopefully, one, it's going to be accurate because it's Yuji Sakai anyway. If Yuji Sakai is not the main sculptor for 84, once again, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. But he makes his 84s are almost one for one. The Yuji Sakai 30 centimeter that I owned, in my opinion, is the best 84 on the market. So if you take that figure and you just make it a Monster Arts and you make it heavily articulated like the 91 not final battle version, but decisive battle version, if it's like the 91, the worth was weighted. The weight was worth it, because then it wasn't like 94 or 95 now, because the 95 sculpt is honestly comparing it to 2000 and even just Final Wars, the Burning Godzilla articulation is really lackluster comparatively. They better reveal Desugoji this year. Hey, X Plus, can you make Eternal Mothra? Yeah, X Plus needs to get on the Mothra stuff as well. They could Mothra as a complete evolution set, the moth form. See, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they could do that because they've already done that, but it is important to note that the special color versions are specifically, although they're not named like this, they're specifically night versions, that their paint jobs are to represent basically final battle versions. So what they could do is re-release the first set, so it would be the larvals together, and it could be I know it's not a waterfront, they're in the ocean, it could be an ocean battle version. And then I don't know what they would do for the Imagos. I personally, I'll say it like this. It's a cool concept initially, but because we've had issues with QC in the past, I would personally not, I would be worried about a double Imago set. So if it was Imago Mothra and Imago Batra as a set, one, that would be expensive. It'd be $300. Just not fucking with you guys, sorry. Could it be a little cheaper? Maybe closer to $250, probably, because they are older sculpts. But once again, just looking at how the climate is and how Tamashii is, they are greedy. They like their money. We're not denying that. Toho likes their money as well. So, but I just not comfortable seeing, with QC. So we'll see though. It'll be almost 10 years by the point they would have to be, even if they were announced at the end of this month, it would basically almost be 10 years for each of those sets. So QC has obviously improved since then. That's not me doing like the typical like old, oh, I'm scared of MONSTERARTS quality. That's just knowing that older releases of the Batra and Mothra sets have had issues. I would want them to make sure that they're taken care of and safe. So if that meant splitting the Imagos up, I would rather them do that than not. They could also do something cool where the Imagos are separate and then they finally include fucking buildings again. I doubt it, but I want to get wacky with my predictions because I think that is something that Tamashii needs. I think, and even myself, we're a little too safe with our guesses and our requests with Tamashii. I think us as a community need to get back to requesting weird things like we did 10 years ago. Because that's how we got, like, when we got the special color versions of the Destroya set, and how we got the effect set and the breath beam effect with all the buildings. That's because people were requesting it. So I feel like we need to, the community needs to request for it more again, and we could maybe see things like that. Because I thought they were going to do that this year with the Destroya set, or, with one of the movie sets, and they ended up not doing it. So I feel like the only way it's going to happen is if we just, doing that. So let me, sorry, Shark and Alex, let me get back. They better reveal Desgador this year. That I do need save for. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't get announced this year. It probably would get teased, but I guess I want to see what the plans for Rebirth are, because they could just be like, well, we're not going to do Rebirth and we'll just reissue the Heisei set, or they could do the opposite and do Rebirth stuff and not release the Heisei stuff. So specifically the 92 stuff. Let me say it like that. Isn't there a rule that high-end schmuck can't release, or is that just a myth? I think that's changed recently. It wasn't necessarily that they couldn't make it. It was just initially Bandai was way more aggressive about it. But I think Toho, and specifically for the Monsterverse stuff, Legendary has had a little bit more say, because we do, I don't want to say it's like confirmed, because obviously nothing's really confirmed unless it's coming from Tamashii themselves or someone within Tamashii, and even still you kind of have to raise an eye. But there are reliable sources, plural, that have said that Legendary specifically has not given, and wording is key here, and this comes with translation. Have not and refuse to give Bandai as a whole the CGI models for their MonsterVerse kaiju, which is why all of Bandai's MonsterVerse stuff besides Evolved Godzilla has been kind of hit or miss on accuracy because they're doing it freehand, not off of the models. That once again, that's rumor, but it's come from multiple very trustworthy sources. And just looking at how the releases are for Haya and for MonsterArts, it does seem like Legendary has partial, a little bias to the Haya stuff, because MonsterArts was only able to get the Evolved stuff, which that was also only because Evolved was done by whenever Tamashii started producing these figures, the pre-production, the only model that was mostly done was Evolved. And also it's Godzilla, so no matter whether it's MonsterVerse or someone else, Toho gets say in Godzilla. But Kong, Scar, and Shimo and Suko, they don't get a choice on, because those are Legendary's kaijus, not they are and aren't at the same time. You know what I mean? So that's the speculation with that. So and the 95 kind of does, but at the same time, the anniversary release isn't a new figure, it's just a reissue, so that could be where either. And that would work for Mechagodzilla, because now they're able to release a Mechagodzilla because only the reissue of the 21 has come out. But once again, speculation. If or when 84, yeah, I do think, Alex, the suit and the Cybot needs to be done. I worry about the Cybot because I worry about the Cybot for two things. One of it's an opinion, and the other part of it is just kind of like speculation. Are they going to do what most of the other companies has done, and even Movie Monster series did, where the Cybot is taller canonically, in real life because it's an animatronic? Are they going to make the MonsterArts larger to represent that, so the 84 display itself fits within itself? Or are they going to make it size accurate so it fits in canonically with the figures in scale? And then as a collector, for me, as a guy who is very anal about scale, scale is almost more important than appearance to me sometimes. I will always justify articulation above all else. That's why I like MonsterArts, especially modern MonsterArts. Is the articulation, and then I think I do put like the overall look of the figure above scale for MonsterArts, but scale is really close because MonsterArts is, for the most part, their scale is really spot on or really close. Is it off a little bit? Yes, but it's not too off. I don't know if I personally want the Cybot to be realistic scaled or within canon scale. Because would it be cool to do, take photos of Suit 84 and Cybot 84 fighting off against each other? That would be cool. But also, once a theoretical 84 set is on display on my shelf, I would like the Cybot to be taller than the 84 so it fits in. So, I don't really know there. So that's kind of something that, I don't want to say it makes me fear, but, it makes me, the Cybot can wait, because I personally haven't decided in my collection how I would want that. When it was the X Plus, I wanted it to be the Cybot scale, but with MonsterArts it's a little different, because I want to do, stop motions and stuff, and for the stop motions I want the scale to at least be close. It's also why I won't buy Haya products for my collection, because they're the 7-inch scale and not 6-inch scale. Although I will be honest, time is moving on. I'm really considering buying the 91 Ghidorah and nothing else from Haya. The 91 Ghidorah is getting a little tempting. I can't deny that 91 Ghidorah is like spot on. I would say like when it comes to articulated figures and we're doing top 10 overall, not just the figures that I bought. Like if I were to do a list that's like overall, I you probably put I wouldn't argue with anyone or debate if 91 Ghidorah was above MONSTERARTS Godzilla 2000. Would I personally say that? I don't know. I have held the high in 91 for a little bit. I saw it at G Fest. Um, I didn't. Uh, as time's gone on, I've dreamed about it a little bit. So that's how I know, like, that's a serious want. But, like, the Godzilla 2000 is just, like that's a childhood wish right there. We had a MONSTERARTS 91, although this one kind of kicks the ass out of the MONSTERARTS one, admittingly, and being very fair and unbiased. The 2000 also kicks the shit out of the Sakais, so... good point about the scale. I would agree. I would want the Cybot. See, and that's... Yeah, I just don't know for sure yet. Oh, I still got to catch up. It's 67. Nobody cares about E4. They all want the 6-7. Yeah. I mean, I also want Son of Godzilla, but even though there's a huge demand for Showa, the demand for Showa is very specific. I feel like it really is mostly the 70s kaiju, and once we start getting the 70s kaiju, I don't know if the 60s are going to be as requested. I know a lot of the Godzilla suits are, and like obviously I think Kong, just because we've had 62 for so long, people want Kong, although I don't think Kong is very realistic. Yeah, the high-end 91 Ghidorah is amazing. Yeah, there's just there's no denying that it's spectacular. Like I was watching a few different reviews for it just the other day. I was just like, I can't help it. I was watching some MONSTERARTS reviews. I was like, I want to watch the 91 Ghidorah review. So, I can't deny. So it is tempting me. So, but then that breaks my rule. But then it's like, if I do a show, it's like, well, then I could just make up, oh, well, this Ghidorah is like final boss and it's even larger. I don't know. It's like the next level after Grand, or like 91 Ghidorah and Grand Ghidorah fuse and they become Ultra Grand Heisei Ghidorah or something. There's options. The bendy wires do turn me off though, but maybe once I own it I'll feel differently. Oh, if they do a Manila, I would love... See, obviously 67 Manila would be fun, but like I really want Godzilla's Revenge Manila, and they have to do it as they did Tsuko. Now obviously Manila wouldn't be quite as petite and small like Tsuko. He'd be kind of a little bit larger and a little thicker. But if it came out just like this, where maybe it's not quite as necessarily accurate, and maybe like a head sculpt or two kind of looks a little goofy, but if it's cursed like this, I don't care. They've immediately won me as a customer. So if it at least looks cursed, if it's bad, if it looks not good but it's cursed, then I don't care. But yeah, Manila and Gabra. Well, we've already done like my wish list. Like those two are like really high up on my list. So, but I would expect if they did a 67 that the baby Manila would hopefully be included. If they're gonna release the Bardock OVA special figure arts and they're gonna include baby Kakarot in that with that Bardock, I would hope that the MONSTERARTS team would also be like, well, obviously 67 Godzilla is going to come with 67 Manila. Would a 68 Godzilla come with a Manila? Or a 69? I don't think they need to do that. I also don't think they necessarily need to release a 68 or a 69 Godzilla. If they do it, I'm not going to complain unless they really don't do anything different with it. But I would see the more reasonable set would probably be a Manila and Gabra 2-pack, because Gabra is admittingly a hard sale. a hard sell. So throwing Manila in there, I feel like would be good. So plus, there's not a lot of effects he can do with Gabra. So like Gabra probably would only have interchangeable hands, hopefully. So then having Manila kind of fills up that spot. They can make it $200. You know, here's my wallet. Here's my card, you know. So at least Manila's already cursed as source material, and that's true. So like even if it comes out like extra fucking gross, like that's part of Manila, you know. He looks cursed. So I agree. Okay. I realized that we didn't get fully through my list teases, which is fine. They've been kind of brought up naturally, but these are the three streams. I want to announce these officially because these three are happening. Well, okay, that's incorrect. Two of them are for sure happening. One I'm not sure on, and I'll explain why when I say it. But for sure, there is going to be a top 10 overall purchases of 2025 because I kind of forgot how many SH Figure Arts Ultraman figures I got this year. Once I did the full collection photos, I was like, holy shit, I almost got 20 Ultraman figures this year. So I am fully clear to do an overall of the year. I thought I sold too much of my collection to do an overall. You know, I talked about it last year on stream. I didn't know if I was going to do that. I have more than enough. I feel confident I could do it. Also, when I've got releases, I had to anyways. Because remember at the beginning of the year when Mecha Gigantron came out, I said that figure was figure of the year. We're at the end of the year. We've had some pretty crazy releases from MONSTERARTS. And not that I have some of the crazier end of the year Figure Arts releases, but like if I did, like, you know, Galactron would be probably be on that list too. But I don't have Galactron, so obviously Galactron can't count for this year. But like we have King of Mons was this year as well for me. So King of Mons is on that list, or would in theory be on that list. I actually haven't made it yet. But so like things like that, and then the MONSTERARTS stuff as well. So although I will say Mechagodzilla 21 won't be on this list because although it's a 2025 release, and I did buy it in 2025, it didn't get here until 26. So Mechagodzilla will be on this end of the year's list, not last year. Manila did Drugs as a Baby Forever, 1,000-Mile Stare into the Abyss of Hell. We do need a good blank stare for the MONSTERARTS Manila, so I hopefully they get that. Yeah. So, but yeah. So you'll get a top 10 overall of this year. It's gonna take a little bit. Like I said, I gotta make the list. I gotta be really comfortable. I've got a lot to debate on. You know, I had King of Mons and Mecha Gigantron, you know, on the desk for quite a bit the last few days. Now I've got to get them on the desk and get 2,000 down, you know, get some of the other figures as well. I don't want to spoil too much of it. You know, onto the desk and really think about how I feel about these figures. Because although, like, undeniably I love 2,000, we've only had 2,000 since, you know, October. I've had King of Mons almost for a full calendar year. In 5 days, it'll be a full year that I got 1 year ago. In 5 days, I unboxed King of Mons. So, you know, that's what we're saying. We actually had our first box day of the year a lot faster this year. So Manila hatched 3 months too early. That too, yeah. So we, you know, there's a lot of interesting, and Hipporito as well. I've got interesting opportunities with this list, so I want to do an overall. Obviously we're doing the top 2025 SH MONSTERARTS releases. I'll just say it here now because I kind of didn't know last year kind of how I would feel because I didn't know when I would get Mechagodzilla, because at the time, I believe it was during the Suko Mothra unboxing, I was like, I didn't know if I was going to include Ghidorah on the 25 list. Ghidorah will be on this 25 list. So that the best 2025 releases for the SH MONSTERARTS line. So anything that released in 2025, including Scar, because for the US Scar came out in January of this year or of last year. so I'm counting it. I'm breaking the rule a little bit just to give us 11, uh, just to kind of give it a little oomph, So Scar will be on there and Ghidorah will be on there. So I got Mechagodzilla here. There's no point, even though I'm not going to get Ghidorah probably for another week and a half. There's no reason not to include Ghidorah on the list. So the best releases of 25 will include Ghidorah. It will start with Scar King in January of 25 for the US release, and then it will go until Ghidorah's release for Japan at the end of November. Destroya will go on the 2026 list because for the US the release date is I'm going to say February because it almost seems like it's confirmed that Destroya will not actually be making it by the end of January. I've seen a few sites put out there, this is what we're getting for the month. I have not seen a single one of them mention MONSTERARTS, the US distribution for the MONSTERARTS Destroya Decisive Battle. So, do I think 75 Godzilla is going to be released this year? I do think 75 will. I think not only will I think Solicitation is 1000% guaranteed this year. I actually do think we're going to be getting 75 will be in our hands this year. I think he's going to be kind of in the middle because I think they're using 75 as the next Showa movie that they're going to complete. I saw some people saying that they wanted to go back into the 60s or even some of the other 70s. It's pretty clear that they are mostly focused on trying to do these as movies, release these as big collaborative sets. We got all of 72, so I think we're going to get all of 75. So I think they're going to try to get 75 out like sooner than later, so we can have so they can start teasing Mechagodzilla 75 and Titanosaurus. So I do think Articulation Series saying long anticipated figures, I think that does suggest at least one of the 75 villains will be it. Will it be Titanosaurus? I think I want Titanosaurus more, but I'm also down for them to wait on Titanosaurus. So yeah, I did sum it up. I think 75 not only will go up for solicitation, I do think 75 will just flat out be for sale this year. Yeah. Listen, best releases of 25 for MONSTERARTS is Legion 2000. I mean, I want some time with Mechagodzilla first. I'm already pretty positive. If you guys have been noticing, I've been not looking at the webcam and looking over at Mechagodzilla quite a bit here. I would say we need, for the line, we do need the 74 Mechagodzilla more. I would agree with you, Shark. But I understand that there is more desire for Titanosaurus more than Mechagodzilla because we already do have a show of Mechagodzilla. So there is a little bit of negative anticipation for the figure because admittingly some people, rightfully so, are worried that we won't get a new Mechagodzilla sculpt, which it's a very small worry for me, but Bandai be Bandaiing sometimes, Like, as much as I love MONSTERARTS, as much as I think they are improving and listening to us more, MONSTERARTS is still Tamashii, and Tamashii is still a subsection of Bandai, and they're in a license agreement with Toho. Toho is really greedy, and Tamashii is greedy. I think MONSTERARTS has been getting better with that. They've been finding a way to kind of mellow it out, but they are still at their basic company that wants to make profits. So, I wait. I give my first thoughts when the solicitation comes out. I think about that figure up until it comes out. I get kind of those first opinions once the figure comes out physically, and the Japanese collectors who are getting it first get it, and the Chinese fans, and then my overall, and then my opinion of the figures happen when it gets in my hands. So But I would say overall, 75 Mechagodzilla would be more important because they have to right that wrong for the 74. Because the idea of the 74 release was good, but obviously it being small was not the way to go. And the shoulder and the knee, like the little plates where the accordion pieces on the suit, so because those are joints, so those are there to make it look mechanical, but also let the suit actor move. I don't, not having the figure anymore, I don't know if I'm super hyped about the way that they did that, and I think, excuse me, there's a better way to do that now. So hopefully they can improve. I was not a big fan of it when it came out. It was cool aesthetically, but actually in motion is when it fell kind of to pieces, because you'd have them flip into the shoulder and like you'd basically have to scuff the shit out of your figure, break it just to get it back out, because if one of those the little pieces got stuck in the shoulder, you just saw the joint and the gap and it looked awful. So I would agree that we do need the Mechagodzilla more than Titanosaurus, but just like Kaiser, Titanosaurus is like right up there with one of the most requested kaiju. I think I've seen Titano probably even more than Kaiser, because even way back at the start of the line, people were asking for Titano, because the Bandai Movie Monster series was really expensive. The Toys Dream Project set was really expensive, back when $100 for a single Bandai was expensive, which it kind of is still now, because there's been so many reissues that all the older Bandai stuff for the 6-inch line at least has kind of started to fall off, I think, but I also don't research it as much. Not that 100 now is a lot, because I mean that's your standard MONSTERARTS price. So I think they will do 75 before Titano, so they can modify. See, I don't want them to modify the 74. They just need to start all the way over. Or in the way that they can modify it, I guess they could just modify the 74 Chogokin down, take out all the electronics and shit and the lights up, and then they could just do that. But I don't want them to use the original 74 MONSTERARTS as a base. Figure had some issues. The head was fucking weird and like blocky. So like I hope they don't use the original as reference at all. I hope they stick away, because the 75 and 74 are supposed to be taller than Showa Godzilla. A criticism I have with the 72 Godzilla is that I feel like the 72 Godzilla is slightly too large. I feel like his head is really big next to Gigan. And I know it is kind of like that in the movie, but I feel like it's just slightly a little too much. So it's either that 72 is too large or Gigan 72 is too small. So I don't want that with Showa Mechagodzilla. Like, if they do a 74 or a 75, whichever one, it will be a 75 first, but I would hope that it makes the 72 look a little smaller. So, look, I'm all for Titano, but see, and I'm like that too. 74 and 75 Mecha G is like, I love Kiryu, but like Showa Mechagodzilla is so cool. So I agree. But oh yeah, so to finish that thought, so yeah, top 2025 releases for MONSTERARTS. I want to once again notice the wording. It's not purchases of 25, even though the only non-2025 release MONSTERARTS I got last year was Kong. Otherwise, all the rest of them, it was only the releases of 2025 besides Kong. I did not buy an older MONSTERARTS last year. I wasn't able to get any aftermarket MONSTERARTS. I wasn't able to get 99 Gamera, regrettably, on sale. So hopefully they're still in stock at the few places that they were, so I can still get one maybe this year. This year, I feel like after this year it's going to be hard, and Edis as the well. But it's not purchases of 2025, it is the releases of 2025, with Scar thrown in. So Scar to Ghidorah. So if you're looking at the YouTube, if you're here on the channel and you're looking at here and you're looking at my reviews throughout the year, it goes from Scar, which I know the Heat Ray came out actually this year. So starting from Scar, all the Monster Arts reviews, uh, besides Frozen, will be on the list, obviously. I've had Frozen for a while. I just played catch up on that review. Same thing with Kong. Kong's the last Monster Arts I don't have reviewed that isn't brand new. So it's only Mechagodzilla and Kong. And I'm kind of happy I was able to wait on filming the Kong review because we got the Mechagodzilla now. Even though it's not the right Kong, because we want the event exclusive Kong, the SDCC, it still works. You guys what I would say. But yeah. So the one that I'm not for sure I personally want to do, because we've talked about it in their reviews, we've talked about it on the live streams, we talked about this a few times, is the top 10 SH Figure Arts Ultraman releases of the year. Almost all of the Ultraman releases I got this year weren't from 2025. I only got King of Mons isn't a 2025 release, because it didn't have a technical P Bandai. It was the same month delivery technically, so they were technically all supposed to be out in December. So King of Mons is not a 2025 release, although I think you can make the debate. It's kind of like Scar, where you can make the debate that I could throw it on there, so I probably would. But then it's Mecha Gigantron and Hipporito, and then a few of the new gen figures, which I can already say the reason why the Ultraman reviews kind of stopped is while filming some of them, some of the new gen figures admittingly pissed me off a little bit. They're not bad in the way of like they're terrible. They're great. They're great entry level articulated Ultraman figures. I would still say it is better to get the figure arts over the, I think it's the Ultra Action Hero line. Those are the more budget. Those are like the $20, $30. Over here, they would be like $10, $15 in Japan. I believe they're also a little smaller. I would still recommend the figure arts over those, even though the figure arts have gotten more expensive. You know, the retail on those are much more expensive. They're almost $50 even importing them now, where like a few years ago, like the new gen releases were only $25, $30. Like a while ago, and now it's kind of changed because he's finally falling out of even the Japanese market. At the beginning of the year, I could have imported an Ultraman Trigger, Decker, and Arc figure arts. I could have imported them from Japan before shipping, all for like $35 together. So like we're talking like $10 per before the shipping. So, but my problem is the new gen releases specifically. There are some improvements. There's more improvements than I thought, mainly with joints. And then like the orb, which I don't have, actually has a brand new head sculpt. I didn't know that. But like Zero is aged out. Like that Zero figure, even when it came out initially, the original Ultraman Zero admittingly wasn't that great of a figure to begin with. And even with these, like the joint tolerance and range, quote unquote, fixes, it's mainly just kind of like a PVC change. So like the Ultramen have always had the twistable elbows. They just always almost didn't work because they were too tight in the way that they were built and the materials. But now these newer releases that are coming out are able to do the modern, like they're able to get their elbow all the way down because of, like I said, PVC changes, different materials. And also I think they changed the way that they did the sculpting in there, so there's not as much friction, so they can actually rotate. But that doesn't save a figure like Zero, where it has zero bicep rotation because of the pads, and then just kind of has shit range, And then like I got Ultra 7. Ultra 7 needs a 2.0 or a Shinko Seiho or something. It's showing its age. It's 10 years old at this point, or technically 9 years. Where like Bolton, Zeton haven't really aged, because they were really good when they came out. Gamora has aged, in my opinion, at least. Ella King hasn't aged. Red King hasn't aged. stuff like that. Belial kind of has aged a little bit, needed a little bit of upgrades. Kind of got them and kind of didn't all at the same time. But the aesthetic for the new Belial is just so damn impressive that, like, even though I still have some major issues, mainly with the wrist articulation and range, the aesthetics make it better where that doesn't happen for the lot. So I don't know if I want to do it, because if a lot of the base Ultraman figures don't impress me, it's not really a top 10. It's getting up to the figures that I actually like, and just kind of getting through the figures that I'm not super, like, I'm not angry with, but I'm also not like, oh yeah, this is really cool, because that's something the Tamashii team hasn't got. And I think Omega, I talked about it in the Omega review. I don't know what the hell is happening with these newer figures. The newer Ultramen are going backwards in some areas rather than going forwards. So it's just like Ace and Jack from back in the day, and Father, and supposedly, because I don't own these two, Mother and Cosmos don't have that issue. Mebius didn't have this issue. So it's just weird that the Ultraman figures that you think they would want to push, the brand new Ultraman, aren't as good as they should be. And Omega specifically, I feel like, isn't as good. As even, like, I don't own Arc, but Arc seems like a better figure than Omega. Blazar, with the issues I have with Blazar, Blazar is way, I think way better, which is sad because I really like Omega. And the issues aren't enough to ruin the figure for me, but at the same time, like, if the face doesn't look right, it does throw off the figure. And then some of the range, like, I don't know. And the waist, the waists, I just can't, I don't get it with the waist. How can they don't crunch at all, so, but that's just me. So yeah, that's why I'm not sure I want to do that list, because it's like, even if I got a ton, like, it's basically just waiting for Hipporyto, Gigantron, King of Mons, and some of the Ultra figures that I liked. But I also haven't reviewed most of them as well, so I feel like if I do that list, then I'm kind of just, like, spoiling the reviews, and then the reviews really aren't that important anymore. So, but if I'm not happy with the figures, do I really want to review them anyways? Because I haven't yet, even though I said I would last year. So, like, it goes back and forth. Is there, I guess that's kind of it. Like, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really wanted to announce. I'm trying to be careful with announcements this year. I'm just going to say it like this. If there isn't something that I can almost guaranteed get out, besides these 2025 lists, I'm probably not even going to let you guys know about it. So there is, right now, I'll just say there is something I'm starting to work on very, very, very early, and we'll see how I get with it once we get to when the process gets hard. It is not going to be an easy project. It's actually going to be really, really hard. But that's the point. I'm trying to give myself something that is going to stress me out so I can do a little bit of personal growth and learn a little bit of follow through with the channel. Because that's probably my biggest critique, especially last year. But I would say overall for these first, basically the first decade, the first half decade of the channel, the first 5 years, one of the problems I've had, not always, but especially this last year and a half, following through with things has been my issue. I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do a review, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it by this day, and it ends up not happening. Some of it is out of my control. Some of it is. Some of it isn't, though. Some of it is me being overly stressed, whether I'm stressing myself out or the project is stressful and I'm frustrated, giving up, depression, shit like that. So that's one of the focuses this year I want to work on, is following through. And I feel like one of the best ways, because it has worked before, it worked during 23, it worked at points during 24, and it even worked at points last year as well. Me not announcing things, not giving you guys expectations on things as often as I was and then not fulfilling them is better because one creates better trust with the channel. I completely can understand if some of y'all get frustrated when it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then I don't complete it. And then I don't do it. Or like I say, I'm going to stream one day. And then like I do that 3 times in a row. And then I end up not getting to stream those 3 times. I can understand how that's frustrating. And I completely understand that as a viewer. And I do want to say I'm sorry, especially like last year, just kind of a fucking mess, you know? So like, I want to do better, you know? I'm not here to like get on this platform and become like a spokesman in the community for myself and like have you guys as fans. This is just my way for me to talk about my favorite things with fellow collectors. You know, I said that in my post yesterday. That's what this channel's always been for. I'm not here to gain gain anything out of it, get paid out of it. I'm just here because as a kid, I grew up being the only Godzilla fan that I knew. And then I did actually, in high school, in my German class, there was someone in one of my classes who was looking up Godzilla stuff on his school laptop, because we had school laptops. And then I saw him go to Amazon, and I watched him buy 2 or 3 MONSTERARTS at school. But I was so afraid in high school, and maybe I'll do a stream about this. This stream would have to have a PA warning, because this would be a trauma stream, and we're going to be, you know, I would have to talk about some things that I would really typically not feel comfortable talking about on stream. But I feel like it's also important because this generation is dead for Godzilla collecting. This situation will hopefully never happen again for the Godzilla community, and that is a point where Godzilla is so dead that, like, I feel like even now, even in small towns, it is easier to at least have people be like, oh yeah, Godzilla's cool, even if they don't really like it. They can still be like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Kind of like what I feel like my generation, what people did with Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, as we got older with Pokemon, with the general, you know, people who fall out of collecting and hobbies, you know, people that go and, you know, they do sports and they, you know, I don't want to say grow up, because collecting, if you're collecting toys, that's not, you still grow up. It's a grown-up thing to do. But, you know, and now, society now, I would say, there's still a little bit of grifting on it, but toy collecting and cards collecting has become like basically a mainstay. I feel like it's weirder not to find someone who doesn't collect card games or like has a gacha game where it's basic, you know, PNGs and stuff. Not NFTs. NFTs are not a part of that, even though you could technically make a debate that Dokkan is basically just NFTs. It's just that they're not limited. So there's an infinite availability of them. So that's why they're not. So, but yeah, it's like Sharktopus just said, because of the Monsterverse and Shin for Japan, but Monsterverse for the world, you know, Godzilla's not like a thing you get bullied for anymore. So like, even though I saw that person literally buying MONSTERARTS when I was buying MONSTERARTS, and I finally could have had someone to talk to, I couldn't usher the courage up at the time, because that was the thing. It was, I can't mention that I'm a Godzilla fan while I'm at school, because I'll be taken out back and beat the shit out of. Because that happened. I got pulled behind the schoolhouse multiple times and got my ribs kicked in. You know, like, not to trauma dump, but that is something, you know. And I'm not saying that as a pity me thing, because I'm not going to sit here and deny there's not a few times where I absolutely did not deserve it. There was a few times I did. I mouthed off. I went, you know, there was definitely, it didn't happen very often. It only happened a handful of times. I would say half the times it did happen was absolutely deserved. But there was 1 or 2 times I can specifically remember that was not deserved. One of the non-deserved times led into one of the deserved times, basically. So, maybe, Shark, if you lived in my area, maybe we would have. Maybe. But I'm also, yeah, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I wasn't a very friendly high schooler. I wore my depression on my sleeves, um, and my cuts and all that shit. I didn't do it for attention, but I definitely wasn't like hiding it either. You know, I was that metalhead. You know, that satanic kid in high school. You know, I can say, because I have been thinking about this because it's my 10th anniversary for my class. I am probably one of the least liked people in my whole class, in my of my grade. I'm pretty sure I'm very down at the bottom. Um, just because of that, like, I wasn't necessarily mean to people. I wasn't angry at people, but like there is a very like realistic like I wasn't very friendly. You know, I had resting bitch face a lot, you know. And it wasn't even like I was trying to look aggressive either, you know, but I was very depressed. I was very, uh I don't want to say victimized cuz like I said, I'm not trying to do a pity me thing here. Like all this stuff happened 10 plus years ago. I'm over most of it, you know, for when it comes to the school and society parts because we have moved away from it, you know. The end of my high school, anime finally started becoming an okay thing because of Attack on Titan and the resurgence because of Attack on Titan of Death Note and things like this. And that's when Netflix started to really get into anime and people started to figure out that Netflix had anime and, you know, so like I kind of started to already be able to heal as I was leaving high school because I saw people being able to wear Slipknot and Disturbed. Well, maybe not just Disturbed's not a great example, and neither is Death Punch. But like Slipknot or death metal bands or metalcore or stuff like that. Like that's why I got pulled outside of school once because I was wearing a Slipknot shirt. You know, that was literally it. I was told that I was a spawn of Satan and I was worshiping the devil, and then I got my ribs kicked in by a few kids. Um, you know, uh, but that didn't, that was happening less, at least for that specific reason, as I was getting out of high school, because people are getting older. Anime was becoming more of a thing. Comic books were coming back into, a major thing. The MCU was like really ramping up. Depression the Deadpool way. I was the class down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same. That's probably the best way to put it. I was the downer of my class. I was depressed, not very welcoming. I wasn't like an angry person to people. I wasn't a bully. I don't think. I mean, I had very bully opinions. Like back then, the way I talk now about being like, whatever you like is how you like. That's not how I was like back then. In high school, I was like, well, if you don't like metal, you're just a fake music poser. Dumb bullshit like that. Dumb, stupid stuff, or like only these rappers are really, stuff like that. I was very opinionated. And that's why as an adult, I try to make sure that I don't let myself form too strong of opinions, even on the things that I'm going to buy before I actually get it. I said clown. Oh, clown. I thought, Jesus Christ. I thought that said, I need to get my glasses checked. From here, it looked like that said down. Clown. Okay, you were the rage baiter. See, we were opposites then. When I was in a good mood, I would kind of rage bait a little bit. Because once, like, necessarily being called a Satanist wasn't, like, a negative thing. And the rumor around school that I was, like, killing animals and stuff went away because obviously, like, you get called a Satanist. That's normally the first thing that happens is you worship Satan and you kill animals. Typically, where people, at least in my area, went with it back then. Once those rumors had subsided, when it was like, oh yeah, obviously he can't be doing that because here's these real life proofs of these things. Um, then I was able, kind of work through some of my depression issues a little bit. I became more of a clown. I remember one of the very first things that it was late. It was late into like my junior senior year. Once YOLO wasn't a cool thing to say anymore, I was saying YOLO. I was that guy. So it wasn't quite rage baiting, but it was like, oh, these things aren't popular anymore, so now I'm gonna say it because they're niche. That kind of mindset. So pretty petty, dumb and childish. But that I was also a high schooler, so like, am I gonna be too hard on myself? No, I have to live with the shame and kind of the regret of it anyways. So like, what it is. We were all young and stupid. Yeah, it is normal. So it's like, and I know a lot of the people that bullied me, or some of them at least, know what I haven't gotten apologized to, but I don't expect apologies for stuff like that either. But I do know through friends and people who have stayed around and stayed things, there are people that feel bad for the things that they did. And there are definitely things on the same, or, on the opposite side of the aisle, there are definitely things that I regret as well. Things that, for myself, I've apologized for, but honestly, if I were to go to my class reunion, there are definitely people I'd like to go to and just apologize. Even if they probably don't even remember it, because I probably think of it, as me being this big tyrannical asshole at times. And some people are like, oh, he was just, he's that kid, so obviously, it's whatever. Water on the bridge. There's still things I would like to apologize for as well. I was pretty based. Ooh, whistle, not gonna lie. There was one year where I looked like a downer to my teacher as the clown because I was so sneaky and clever. Nice, cool. It's cool. So yeah, so not to do the whole pity or have people feel bad for what happened to me, because like, was there some bad stuff? Absolutely, but like, we all go through it as well, and that in seeing as society has changed, to wrap it all back around, because of the MonsterVerse, Godzilla being popular, I don't think as many kids thankfully have to deal with that. Not saying that it still doesn't happen, because that's untrue. It still happens, that bullying happens, because there's just bullies out there. But it's not like I, I own a lot of shirts. You guys probably know this. If you guys don't, I have a very huge Godzilla and Slipknot clothes collection. Between just those two, I don't want to say franchises, but between those two properties, I own over 100 shirts just between the two. I'm pretty sure I'm close to 60 Godzilla shirts overall. That's not including sweatpants or pullovers or jackets. That's just the t-shirts, long sleeves, and the tank tops. And then I own almost 40 Slipknot shirts. So a majority of those all being from the self-titled, era of collections of shirts, whether it's the 25th, 20th, 19th. I have a few I have one design that's 15th. I have a few 10th anniversary shirts. And once I'm done with Japan in July next year, one of the things I want to do for myself, well, I have to do it for next year anyways. If you guys aren't big into music, it's very likely Slipknot's releasing another album. So there probably is going to be some, once that starts to get going and Slipknot starts announcing tours. I didn't go to a concert at all last year, and I know some of my aggression and some of my depression is actually caused because I haven't done that. Because that, for me, that's a big thing. Doing at least one concert a year is where I can go and physically let myself go, and not the same way as like a gym. Music for me is a very big stress. That's my therapy. I don't go to a therapy. I listen to music. I'm one of those guys where music isn't necessarily like a fun thing for me. It is my way of voicing my trauma, using other people's lyrics and, their songs, because I feel like I can't do that. It's why I'm going to be shifting back. When it comes to my reviews, I'm going to be shifting, well, one, because I can't edit on my fucking PC anymore, because it takes too goddamn long, downloading videos. I'm just going to voice over as I'm recording, and we're going to use the mic that, obviously is provided with the iPhone. I do know I can get wired cords with, headphones with mics. I will probably move to that later towards the year, maybe the back half, to see if I can't make it a little bit better quality. But I will say the 17 Pro Max, I don't know about you guys, I feel like the mic quality on the Suko and Mothra review is pretty damn good. Now, obviously, the FNAF moment, that is me playing a sound off my phone, recording it through iMovie. That's not me having that soundbite downloaded and getting a high quality. Mainly because I've tried fucking with that, and it just hasn't worked with the iPad or the PC really, but mainly with the iPad. I just can't find high quality SFX without buying them off the CDs, which I don't have a problem doing. It's just that every time I want to use that track or use a roar, if it's a 40-second track with all the roars and grunts, I have to go through and edit it all out. Oh, is Mama home? Is that why you're excited, Tater? Larissa just got home. Oh, holy shit, we've been live for 2.5 hours. Oh my god. I didn't expect to go this long. Not that it's a negative thing. I don't regret it. I'm very glad that we could all hang out and have this exciting conversation and just sit here and hang out. I just didn't expect to be this, I thought I would be done by the time Larissa got home. So, I am going to close my door really quick because Tater's going to get all excited. So let me... Well, actually, we're in a really good spot conversation-wise, and I actually don't want to end. But Larissa and I do have some plans tonight. So another thing I want to do with the channel is make sure that I'm making sure I give time for the channel, as this is my hobby, and I think that version of my post got changed. I did kind of word the channel, I don't want to say it's work, because this is a hobby, this is supposed to be fun. I don't want to feel like I'm forced to do it, which, by saying work in a lot of the world, not just the US, work normally typically is something you're forced to do. It's not something that you go wanting to do because you're doing it for a paycheck. And I don't want to make YouTube sound like or feel like something where I feel like I'm forcing myself to do it. I want it to be natural, so my content is genuine, so you guys can enjoy it. Because I know when I'm being genuine, I can be entertaining. So I want to be as genuine. So if that means that some of the editing has to take a step backwards, so I can make sure my voiceover and the way that I'm talking and able to get my thoughts on these figures is better, and even if that means the reviews get longer again, at least then you're getting a more genuine product rather than me struggling literally for hours on end trying to do a voiceover. I've talked about it before, but once again, like, half the reason why the Legion review took so long, I couldn't get my voiceover. I just couldn't. I struggled and struggled and struggled. And that actually scars this review. It scars the flying form section of the review. It's why the flying form is 20 seconds, I think it's like a minute long, not including the building of the flying form is more elongated than the actual looking over the flying form itself. And that's a scar of that, is me not knowing how to do that voiceover and being frustrated. Hi, honey. I'm almost done, okay, sweet peas? You're beautiful. Can I get a kissy? Come here. Yes. Love you. I love you too. I hope you had a good day. We're going to talk about it once the stream's done. I'm going to guess not with that sigh. And that's okay. But yeah, so there was so I want to, I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the genuine article, and the same thing with these streams too, so I'm not going to say that I'm not going to cancel a few streams this year. I'll announce that I'm going to stream and then, cancel, hopefully. What I would like to do, if I have to do that in that situation, I want to at least make sure that I let you guys know ASAP, rather than just like that last stream, was it last Sunday? I said that I was going to stream, ended up sleeping through, and then I didn't even leave you guys a note. I kind of feel like that was a little bit of an asshole thing of me to do, so I apologize. So I want to at least make sure that I'm letting you guys know ASAP, hopefully before, but obviously, it's kind of like work at the same time. I don't want to make it feel like that I'm like on an attendance either, but I want to be more... I want to make sure I'm as transparent as possible and also as genuine as possible. So yeah, there's things we're working on. We'll see what comes out. The only thing I learned from last year, so I'm going to be careful, but this year kind of is, like, it's the 5th anniversary for the channel. We're half a decade in of this channel being like active. Even though last year we took 3 pretty damn decent breaks. I took almost a 3-month break in the beginning, middle, and then we took a month and a half break after G Fest, and then we took another one, kind of in that like the October, November, December time. So be careful, but this is the fifth most transparent stream in the history of America. I hope so. Uh, Hopefully that is the goal, because like, am I reviewing things? Yes. So do I want to give you guys the facts on things and be critical of things? Yes. Do I also want to make sure that my opinions are here too, showing that you can be critical of something and not like something critically or objectively, but then still like the finished product? Absolutely. It's okay to like a shitty figure. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong at all. It's the same thing with movies. It's okay to like shitty movies. That's sometimes kind of the point. It's like, I like it because it's shitty. It's the same thing. I like the roaring face on this Suko because it's cursed. Because it looks weird. So that's just what I want to aim for. So, but with the 5th anniversary coming up in a little over a month, well, it's closer to 2 months than a month. I would like to plan on doing something special, especially because we did nothing last year. I was so depressed last year. We didn't do anything. There's nothing for the 4th anniversary of this channel. I think maybe I made a post. Maybe. I don't even think I made a post. I don't think I celebrated the 4th anniversary for the channel at all last year, which is a very unthankful thing to do. No denying that. I don't know if I would have said that last year, but this year I'll say that was a very unthankful thing for me to do. Because although this is just supposed to be a way for me to sit here and talk with you guys and just have fun, and hang out and just talk about toys, whether it's toys that I collect or not. We like to talk about the X Plus and the highest stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that, or MONSTERARTS or Bandai, or Sofubi. I like to talk about all, or even, we won't even talk about Godzilla stuff. I would still like to do that Welcome to Derry stream, but I want to rewatch it 1 or 2 more times. And now with Stranger Things coming out, I almost want to watch Stranger Things season 5s a few more times, as well as watching it Welcome to Derry, because it's such a polarizing release window. I just can't believe the show that should have taken it safe, it Welcome to Derry, because although the first movie did really well and the second movie did well financially, but it didn't do well critically, the show was a risk. So if there was a show, if you're going to tell me out of the horror shows that I watched, I didn't watch when I didn't get to see Wednesday and a few of the other horror shows that came out last year, so that's why I'm using these as the example, and not including some of the others because I didn't watch them, so I have no experience with them. The show that should have been safe, it Welcome to Derry, took every risk it could have ever taken and then killed it. Every single thing. I'm one of the people that thinks the whole show is just about damn perfect. I don't see the dip in the first few episodes. Like, some people say the first episode is really good and then it kind of dips and then it raises back up in episode 4 and 5. I don't think that. I think it's like a little hump down, in kind of like 3, and parts of 4 kind of get wavy, but like, I'm very positive through the shows. Like episode 1, not to spoil that stream, but like, and then you get to the last 2 episodes and we're talking about some of the best horror ever, in episode 7 and 8. Like, just as a whole, there's no downsides to those episodes. I recently, just the other day, I watched 7 and 8 back to back again. I just have no issues with either episode. There's no down points. There's no like cooling points. The shows are just power the whole way through. So, and then you go to Stranger Things, which is a long-standing show that's been running for almost a decade. A show that, because it's so long and it's so well versed, that it should have, not have been afraid to take a few risks because of its success. Although you still have to be careful because you don't want to Games of Thrones it. And the show took it so safe that although like some of the, not that we're talking about spoilers here, some of the things that were, you know, revealed, and I'll put that in quotes, were, they were so safe that they were unpredictable, and some of the other plot points that they were so safe that like it's just, it's a little, I get that it makes sense within the show, but it is unsatisfying for me at least, with some of the things that happened because it was just so safe, you know. And it was the show that shouldn't, it shouldn't have been like, it should have been, by all sense of the purpose, it should have been the opposite. Stranger Things season 5 should be the thing that everyone is talking about. It is, you know, loved by everyone. There's almost no negative, or even just like mid press on it. Everyone loves it, and it's like, I don't even want to say it's like 50-50. It feels like there's more negative than positive, but it's not quite like Game of Thrones finale, which I haven't seen Game of Thrones. I just remember the absolute shitstorm that followed Game of Thrones finishing up. So I don't think Stranger Things season 5 was at quite that level. Now there are some people that are disappointed, and honestly, me being disappointed is a shock because I'm normally an easy to please person. I won't necessarily love something like Anaconda. Larissa and I for Christmas we went and saw that. I don't think it's nearly as bad as some people like to make it out to be. It's cheesy. It's predictable. At sometimes the CGI doesn't look good. And it's definitely, it doesn't take a lot of risks, but like it's fun and enjoyable to watch. Am I gonna ever want to watch it again? Maybe not. I don't think so. It's not something where I'm like, I can't wait for it to pop up on Prime or, you know, get a physical release. I'm not quite at that level, but it's not like I didn't like it at all. Where Stranger Things season 5, like there's some moments in there where like I'm genuinely just disappointed. Like just, I can't even be like, you know, well, I get it. Like, you know, it's just, there's just some things where I'm like, I wasn't a Stranger Things fan the whole time. I did try to watch Stranger Things multiple times when it first came out. In fact, I tried watching it 4 times when season 1 came out, and I tried watching it 5 times when season 2 came out. It took somewhere in between season 2 and season 3 for me to really connect with the show. Well after season 2 had came out. Because season 3 wasn't quite like, we knew it was coming, but like it wasn't like quite out there quite yet. You know, like no trailer, there wasn't advertising for it because it was a pretty quick turnaround. But you know, there was just some things, you know. So like I haven't been here the whole time. In fact, I would say my time with Stranger Things was frustrating because I found when I watched it initially, you know, being a dumb kid, and then at the time I was using adult substances a lot, so my brain was really just shot. It was hard to follow along with. I felt like there was so much happening in every episode I couldn't keep it together without taking notes, and I didn't want to watch, you know, I didn't want to watch a show at the time that I had to take notes on my mini VCR TV in my mom's room, or you know, in my mom's house. So which is funny because I did, in that same Vine though, I did get to experience Stranger Things on like a 90s TV. So like I didn't get to experience it quite as it would have been in the 80s, but I did get that quality, you know. So yeah, I'm you know, so like with horror, you know, that's why the show list would be interesting. Because like I would go and talk in detail and talk spoilers with those 2 shows. I'm trying to avoid it, even though Dairy's been done for a while, and HBO Max was just pushing the shit out of all those clips. Like the episode would end, and boom, you've got the big spoilers just right there on the front page. Big eye roll, even though like I actively was watching the shows the second that it came out. I like when Stranger Things was playing, I didn't have my phone open. The first 30-40 minutes I had my phone, and I was like, if I get spoiled in the middle of this episode, by the Netflix page or the Stranger Things page on Facebook, I'm going to just break my TV and just not finish it. So I just put my phone away and didn't open up my phone. I ignored everything until it was done. And same thing with Derry. I was not on my phone at all during the finale or episode 7. Very just insane great shows, which those were the only 2 episodes of Derry I was actually able to see the day of, because I didn't get my HBO Max subscription until after episode 5 premiered, and then Larissa and I weren't able to see 6 until a few days after. So I was able to avoid most of the spoilers for 6, but not all of them. But yeah, so like I kind of lost my point. What I guess, like, for me, you know, it'd be fun. And then in that same vein, that goes back to toys, you know, liking what you like, not letting other people's criticisms and disappointment or excitement get you, but also at the same time, there's nothing wrong with being different than everybody else and thinking something different, but also there's nothing wrong with falling into the same category as everyone else. My disappointment for Stranger Things isn't based on everyone else's disappointment. It is my own genuine feeling. We will see on the rewatch or 2. I would like to rewatch it at least 2 times. We'll see after the first rewatch, though. I would like to see it in one big chunk, just to see if maybe something changes. I don't think so. In fact, I think I'm a little afraid that on the rewatch, the things that I did like, the big surprises, aren't even going to feel as good anymore, because now I know, you know? So, like, we'll see. Where, like, Derry, a lot of the big twists get me pumped. The big one at the end of in season, you know, in episode 8, not, once again, going to try to remain spoiler free, just for this little blurb. The big twist to see of episode 8, when I watched it last night, got goosebumps like I was watching it the first time. In fact, that whole section before it, once they get out on the lake, I'll leave it like that. Once the kids are out on the lake, up until basically the epilogue of the episode, every time I've rewatched it has felt like I was watching it for the first time again. And same thing with the intro to episode 8, the very first scene leading into the title sequence. Every time I watch it, goosebumps. I see I'm getting it right now just thinking about it. It gets me hyped. It's like Endgame. When I see Cap pick up Mjolnir in Endgame, I still get I still want to cheer. That's the way Derry makes me feel. Which a lot of that is my love for Pennywise. I love Pennywise. I love It 2017. I love It Chapter 2 from 2019. Those are the only movies that get close. Okay, that's not true. There is one more horror movie that does get close. There is at least one, maybe 2 more that get close to Scream when it comes to touching my number 1. But like, it is Scream, and then, you know, we're talking about the It franchise now. And then there is one more movie, a little movie called Tusk. If you guys know what Tusk is, those are probably like my 3 or 4. You can say my 3. I'll say franchises, even though Tusk is not a franchise. And I would say it's specifically Scream 1 that lights the way. Not that I'm trying to disrespect 2 or the rest of the franchise, but I mean, it's very specifically Scream 1. Where It is like, well, now it's Derry for horror, but like 17 and 2019 are just in there, you know, as well. And then Tusk it's a solo movie. It's a one-off. It's not a franchise or anything. That movie's just so. If you guys are horror nuts and you haven't seen Tusk, I would recommend seeing Tusk. I would. I was actually just seeing if there's still chats. I didn't know. Sometimes OBS doesn't tell me, like, if I freeze. So if I don't see chats, I'm not trying to be like paranoid. It's just I'm trying to make sure that, like, if there's a technical issue, I can flip to this other screen quick to see, because sometimes this screen will update, the others, it looks like maybe there was some bars or something, and that's okay. Coming in and out of the stream, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, there was a comment I missed. Shark said, I like the old Haya 91 because he's such a cutie, And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. I yeah, nothing wrong with that. That's completely acceptable. It's okay. It's all good. I think, can you even still get that version of the head? So, like, how did that work? Because the US release of 91 wasn't out yet. So when people get their pre-orders, did they just get the head eventually separately? Like, I saw a bunch of people got the heads, but I don't actually remember hearing like how Haya dealt with it overseas. I know how they dealt with it in for the Chinese Haya collectors. They just, anyone who wanted it just had to email them the proof of their order, or whoever they bought it from, if they're accredited retailer, and they just shipped them the heads, or they shipped the retailers the head, because I know that's what Kwaski did. Haya just sent them sets of the heads, and then anyone who wanted the heads, they just shipped them out. So I'm guessing that's probably what they did for the US. It's just that rather than sending those on a boat, it would have been envelopes, unless they included it with the shipment. So I guess we'll see. Can't believe you've been ignoring me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to end stream, but also, like, because I haven't streamed in so long and I'm finally feeling good and I can actually talk, and I just enjoy talking with you guys on stream. I just want to be here and talk with you guys on stream rather than just end. But at the same time, like I said, I got some things I got to do. So I think that's a good end point. So I'll just quickly go over, once it gets reissued, the old head will be Lost Media. They still haven't gotten their regular 91s from the US yet? No way. There's no way. I know this isn't Haya, but I do got to do my daily sales. Gamera 2 has sold out. What an interesting one for them to run out of. Oh, and they finished that run. These had a slight warehouse find. US retailers were getting a few more of the Mechagodzilla set, and now that's gone. That is going to be expensive. This set will go down, I feel like, being the most expensive versions of these characters. I'll get to Haya in just a second. I just want to see. Ah, damn it. It's so bad because Amazon is also sold out on them, so it's like I'm actually kind of screwed in that situation. I just want Haya. There you go. Do they really not? Also, once again, not that I'm trying to have an opinion. People say the MONSTERARTS looks bad. No. Yikes. But it'll be edited by the time it comes out, so it's not like that's the final product, I know. So I'm not going to sit here and clown on them too hard, but wait, did I skip over 91? Am I insane? Where was, I saw the He-Ray. Oh, there it is. Jeez. This was supposed to come out in January of last year. That figure has officially been delayed a full calendar year, for the US release at least. That is insane. Holy cow, my group chat is having a discussion. I have 160 notifications on Instagram. Holy fuck. I can see why none of the group chat's in the chat. That's fine. It doesn't matter. They're all busy too. So holidays are just ending up. So everyone's, getting back to life and regular, regular shit. So, but yeah, so to sum it up, we unboxed Mechagodzilla 21 Final Battle. I'm liking what I'm feeling right now. Because it's such an old release, it's kind of like Suko and Mothra. Well, kind of, except I wanted theirs to be posted before New Year's Eve. But because I had to re-edit it on my iPad and the download speed was a little different, it obviously didn't get done. So it was a New Year's upload technically. I'm not going to necessarily, though, once it gets reissued. Oh, that's probably also why it got delayed. I'm pretty sure that they said that they were pulling the old head. So, okay, maybe I'll take back some of that criticism on Haya. I think that's also one of the reasons. I think it's because they were just auto replacing the heads. Actually, now that I saw your comment again, Shark, I think that's actually one of the reasons too. I think they said they were holding it back so they all had the new head sculpt. So, so yeah, there is a very good chance that a lot of people might not even get that OG head sculpt, which, regardless of what people think about it, is going to make it a valuable thing in the next upcoming few years. So, but yeah, we got the Mechagodzilla. I like it. So far, once again, I want to hold it. I want to play with it a little bit. It's already Saturday, so I can confidently say the review's not coming out tonight, and it's definitely not coming out tomorrow. So this will probably be next week's. I hesitate to say only review. Once again, the only other review I could see me really pushing to get done is either the Shinkoho Seiho Ultraman 66, since I didn't get that done last year as well. I was kind of working on the draft for the review, and then I kind of had a few different ideas. That's one of the reviews I would rather just hold on to, because one, it's the first release of the figure. People aren't going to be interested in it anyways because it's not the reissue, and then it's obviously not the 60th anniversary set coming out in July, so it's no one really wants to see the base figure now, but I do want to review it because I want to get my initial thoughts, the thoughts I've had on the base figure for these last 2 years, 3 years, excuse me, 3 years that this figure has been out, because this is a 3-year-old figure now. I had this when I was in the town I lived in last, so actually 3 years in November, because this was, I remember I was supposed to get my US release on Godzilla Day 2023, and then I fell asleep and someone had stolen it and destroyed the box in my apartment complex's laundry room. And I remember Big Bad Toy Store almost didn't send me a replacement or a refund because they wanted me to do a police report, and I told them the police in my area wouldn't let me do like a full-blown police report because it was a toy. I got told that. They didn't care because it was a toy. They said it could have been $1,000. They would not have cared. They're not going to put any of their time into trying to find a toy for an adult. Was the officer's specific wording for me. He did not give a shit. Which is funny, because out of the times that I've had figures stolen from me, and it's only happened twice, well, as an adult twice, happened a lot as a kid. I was a gullible kid, so you live and you learn. As an adult, it happened twice, and I got told the same things in the same town. 2 different officers, is that they didn't care. And the first time it was actually hundreds of dollars of toys, and they said they didn't care. I got everything, so it's not like it's a big deal now. But screw that guy. Yeah, screw those guys. But it is what it is. Once again, it all got handled anyways. I mean, Big Bad Toy Store, once I told them, it's like, I'm not lying to you, they will not let me do it because they don't care. It's a toy. That's their words, not mine. They, obviously I have it now, so they sent it to me. And I haven't had really any issues here in the current town I live in. They've taken it more seriously, and they've actually, set up reports. Not that I've ever been called back on any of those reports, because they're not, putting to it. But I guess the cops here at least are like, well, at least it's paperwork and it's some work rather than just sitting at my desk and doing nothing, or sitting in my car. So I'll at least thank the officers here that they've at least, attempted to at least try. I'm not going to ever say that I don't blame even the last town for not really caring, because it is really a hard thing. How do you find a toy? It's not a truck. It's not a vehicle. It's not, it's not even a phone. It's not something you can track. So, I do understand, the basis of the problem is maybe more how would we find it without busting down doors if you've got no leads, rather than it, well, it's a toy, so I don't care, you know. But, you know, you get what I mean. But, so I'm getting distracted again. So that is a review that I'm drafting, but that's not something I might not even see coming out for another few weeks, because there is something I would like to try, but I would like to kind of practice it in privacy, and then maybe in reviews. But I'm not for sure yet, because I also like kind of stressed out by the idea as well, and it will be 100% harder here on the iPad and not on the PC. So once again, not trying to stress myself out reviews, but the Mechagodzilla review will, like I said, be next week. The only other thing outside of the 66 Ultraman is Kong, the MONSTERARTS 24 Kong. So, and if everything works out, hopefully within the next few days, Genki will get back to me. Ghidorah will get shipped. We'll get Ghidorah. Maybe by the weekend, because DHL is quick. Even with the holidays, DHL is just can get this shit out quick. But then that review would be, you know, if I got it like on the 10th, maybe could push it out to the 11th if I could like really like spend time with it. But like I would guess like this 12th to the 16th range. So if Mechagodzilla's review is here, Ghidorah's review is here, then, you know, like Kong, and then by this final week, the movie graphic 89 should be releasing somewhere between the 23rd and the 30th. Now that is with Ami, but it's still with DHL. Not guaranteeing I'll get it here in time, but I should hopefully have it here by the first week of February, and that review will be going out quick. I have a feeling, regardless of what people are saying, where like the movie graphic line isn't that hype and 89 isn't really that hype, because it's not the most hardest figure to get. It's out of print, but it's still not the most expensive on the aftermarket yet. I do feel like quietly people are going to care about that release. People, whether they like the posters or not, they are going to be interested about the posters. People can sit here and deny it all they want. They will want to see it when it comes out. Now, is that going to change their negative opinions on it? Probably not. Is that still justified? I mean, yeah. The paper posters aren't for everyone. I'm really interested because I've kind of got an idea with these movie graphic line figures. Eventually, I think once, you know, we get caught up with the line and we start getting, you know, double releases. So once I get the original 89 and I have this movie graphic line, basically the main collection, like the timeline collection, the one-ofs, will have the regular versions, and then I'll have a whole separate display of just the movie graphic figures, so I can display the posters with them collectively and nicely, kind of like the way that Tamashi has been displaying them. I kind of want to just do that for the movie graphic line, just in chronological order, with all the movie posters like in front of the figure to make it look really cool. Kind of have it be like a definitive movie collection with the figures. So we have the posters and we have the Godzilla representing the movie. So that's kind of what I'm thinking I want to do for that. So that would be kind of like its own separate like shelving. I feel like it'd be really cool, and kind of do like a more laid back like 80s 90s vibe for the shelving. You know, really spruce it up, make it look different, have a different feel. You know, because that's what the line is for. It's supposed to be relaxed. If you don't want the movie graphic releases, you don't have to buy them. You know, they're just reissues at the end of the day. Although it does seem like they are taking the places of new general releases, we will see what happens with the later of the month. That's still speculation. So very excited to see that Shin. So am I. February can't happen enough. I wish I could get that climax in before the anniversary of the channel, but that's probably like we're looking at probably here and the last week of February. It could come out on the 20th, but then shipping. Shin is going to be a little bit of a stress because that's like a guaranteed $100+ for shipping. It's going to be the same as this Ghidorah, and then tariffs. It's going to suck. That's why I'm really glad that I was able to get a Japanese pre-order, because I think with Ami Ami it's only like $110, I think. So even if it's $100 in shipping, it's still only slightly more expensive than the US release, because the US release is 180, 190, and then plus shipping if you're not getting free shipping and taxes, and then whatever Big Bad Toy Store or Amazon charges for tariff, you're probably spending about 220 anyways. I'm actually super hyped for the GMK. I'm thinking of getting GMK's own shrine. I'd do that. Yeah, man. If it's your favorite design, do that. I've got my Shin shelf, which, you know, the MONSTERARTS aren't up there. The MONSTERARTS aren't going to go up there. I don't think, at least. I guess maybe once I have all of the colorways of the Shin fourth form, and if we get like a 10th anniversary, maybe I'll put like one or two on that shelf. But I really like my Shins with the MONSTERARTS because they're just so different. So seeing a GMK like that, like having, I saw some photos of the Haya and the MONSTERARTS together. My opinion of the Haya is getting better, and it sitting next to the MONSTERARTS, I feel like they don't really replace each other. There's just like two sides of a coin, you know? They're the same but different. Like, I don't think there's really a debate for owning one or the other. It's just, what do you not mind a stylized version of GMK with a more, you know, really crisp sculpt, or do you want the GMK that has a softer sculpt, but looks closer to the suit, 100%. You know, it's really close in most of the areas, and then as I think it is more articulate. The tail definitely is. So, you know, it has more articulation, and it's a bit more inexpensive. So, you know, slowly be taking Final Wars place as my third favorite. We'll see. I hope so. And if not, that's okay too. You don't have to build shrines. I know shrine displays are always interesting. You know, I see a lot of people always, especially like newer collectors, they're always like, oh man, I want to get everything, but also like I want to do, you know, like one design, like have a lot of that one design. It's like, it's cool, but it's also super stressful depending on which design it is. Because some of the designs have like no representation. Some of them, like Shin, have so many, but so many of them are so out of print and expensive now that like you have to spend thousands just to maybe catch up, and then you got to still stay up to date with the constant stuff that's dropping now. And the Haya looks like the suit head. See, yeah, I could see that. Yeah. I watched GMK recently. I think both of them really do fit like different looks in the movie, you know. So I agree. I think that's the best way to look at it. It's just different sets of the suits, which is the same thing I say for Burning Godzilla. Same thing I say for Burning Godzilla, which is funny because people don't like to give me the eye comment, but it's true. And then what other figure in this line has two different suits, and one looks like one of the suits, and one that, who was it? People only use the animatronic head to be deceitful and push their agenda. Yeah, that is true. People like to, yeah. We know who those people are. We know. We know those MONSTERARTS haters out there. We know them. We all know. They do not have to be named. That's their opinion. It's fine. Whatever. They can have it. Unless they want to beef with me, like, publicly, which I don't really want to do. So, I'd like to have a discussion, but I don't know if I can have a discussion with some of the people I see with the way that they like to talk about each line in tandem to each other. So, yeah, so Mechagodzilla review next week. Hopefully the King Ghidorah 72 unboxing next week, and then the review would be the following week, unless something wild changes. And then 89 at the end of the month. And then I'm just putting this out there. I have basically canceled every single other pre-order I have. I am going to maybe make it an attempt to get my Neandroid Shin, which I do still have on pre-order. And I have until the end of this month to pay for it with Ami Ami. That is sitting in there, so there's a chance I could put the Shin and the 89 together. I just don't want to make shipping too expensive, because that's what happened with the 2000 and Omega. Like, shipping just kind of like busted at the seams once I added in the second figure. So, and the Neandroid box isn't that small. So even if the Monster Arts box is the new kind of the 70th anniversary boxes where they're actually like really compact, they're finally, I said it with the Mechagodzilla 21 box as well. They finally are being smart with their boxes. They're trying to help us in the US. You can't say that they're not. They're trying to help us by compacting their boxes, how they're doing these plastic trays. They're trying to make it smaller so they're easier to ship. I would say the 72 Ghidorah is a great example. That box is. So no, they were, oh, I've proved them wrong and just ignored me. Oh, I thought you were talking about the Haya people that were, oh, I didn't see that, but see, that kind of like, that shows why I'm careful of social media and taking what the opinions of people, especially on like Instagram and Facebook. My ex is way unbiased. I have been very, very careful with my ex to make sure that I'm following pages that like Monster Arts and don't like Monster Arts. There's a few that I'm waiting for new figures to release because I'm waiting for them just to make up everything they can to hate on Monster Arts and to jerk Haya off. But I guess for me, I'm very focused on only Monster Arts, and Haya still isn't easy to get in Japan. They have to import it kind of like we do. If you want it earlier, they don't really have like a full distribution over there. They kind of have like a halfway around it. I know Haya's probably gonna get over there eventually, but like I don't see a lot of the Haya stuff on X because my X is built around the Monster Arts very specifically. I've been struggling to find Monster Arts communities on Facebook and Instagram. On YouTube, it's easier because Articulation Series and his Monster Arts community. So I'm slowly trying to, follow that group a little bit. So I didn't know that there was Monster Arts people. I saw there was dislike for the Haya head. I didn't like it initially. Those first photos, that the teaser trailer from Haya, I think they did horribly at showing off that figure. They did that figure no favors. And there's still a few things I don't like about it. Accurate or not. The accuracy part doesn't really matter. There's something about the head that I just don't like, but it looks better than that initial video. But I didn't realize that some of that came out of being just Monster Arts people hating on the Haya. It's a little disappointing to hear, but once again, every subsection of the community has those people. It's not like it's just Haya fans that bully Monster Arts fans. There's some Monster Arts fans that I don't associate with, that I don't follow, only because that they're on that side that you're talking about, Sharktopus, where they're a little overly hatey on Haya. I have a hate boner for Haya, but like I can still give Haya a bone when they're good. And there's some people that say that 91 Ghidorah is not like a good figure, and it's just like, that's just a lie. Okay, I know I kind of try to like have that puffed out chest being like, oh well, it's not that good at the beginning of the year, but like that was also just kind of like, I'll admit that, I won't let any of y'all call me out for that. I'll just own that. There was the beginning of the year, I kind of had that like, well, it's not that good. No, it was that good. Come on now, being a little prissy with it, I won't deny that. I was going through shit this year. I made some mistakes. I had some bad personality runs this year, so I won't deny that. I won't let myself get away with that. But I didn't realize that some of that hate for the Haya GMK was just inflation from the Monster Arts community. So that's, or some of it, I should say, a subsection, and that is disappointing as shit. Because I feel like out of all the collectors, I see it in the X Plus community as well. Now that they're kind of like Monster Arts and X Plus are back on the as much as they're loved right now, and there's people going back, flocking back because they're seeing, oh, QC has changed. They are listening, and then they switch back to or X Plus, where some people are like, well, these reissues are here and these are good, and some of the new figures, or even the FLS figures that they're bringing over from the kits, are like really good. Out of the communities that should know what it's like to just like get hated on for no reason, it is disappointing to see that Monster Arts fans are still, that are doing that nowadays, when we literally lived through that in the late 2010s. So it's sad to see that there's unmature Monster Arts fans, but I mean, like, that's just how it goes. See, a lot of people are just used to but that's not, like, I'll say my opinion is not that. Like, at first I thought it was just like, oh yeah, I'm used to the Monster Arts. That's not true. There is something I just legitimately don't like about that head sculpt. And I can say that with, like, I love Monster Arts, but there's no bias there. There's something more ferocious about the larger eyes. It's how it's weird, because it's large and it's not large on the Monster Arts. The snout isn't large. It's round large, not boxy large, where the Haya is very boxy, which is accurate, but it is not my favorite look for GMK. I like that kind of more rounded look that the Monster Arts has, but also the Monster Arts is really not fucking accurate either, because it's Yuji Sakai's GMK. So, and then it's not even that it's not just Yuji Sakai's well, actually, was Yuji Sakai the one that sculpted the GMK? That might actually be, I can't remember if it was Yuji Sakai, because Yuji Sakai's GMK has what's closer to the Haya head, because if you look at his 30 centimeter X Plus, it's got the more boxed in face, but it's thinner, and that's the thing I don't like about the Haya. The Haya's got this big rectangular snout, and some of that is just because of the jaw joint, and that is something I won't let them get away with. I hate their jaw joint. I think the jaw joint on the Haya is garbage. It throws the whole look of the face, for me, off. It makes the head look way more boxier and than it needs to look. Because, yeah, look at this. Well, okay, it is Yuji Sakai. Whoa. What the heck? Oh, that... I forgot he's got the sound bites on here. But, like, look at this head. I want to see it at the jaw. Where's the jaw? So, like, see, it's more rounded. It's not quite boxy. But when I get to that, when I get to the box on the Haya looks really fucking boxy. And there's nothing wrong. There's not like a right or wrong with liking or not liking them in that way. That's just my personal gripe. Where's the G? There it is. Jesus. Oh, I can't even look at this either. God damn it. See, I can't even go to Haya and look at their fucking stock photos, because the figure's not the same fucking thing. That's annoying. That is annoying. I have to go on here and risk getting taken down by YouTube because I'm going to be looking up something on Google Images, and you just never know. Even though I don't look up sussy things on my PC, you never know when you're going to get something sussy in hand. You just don't know. And all it takes is that one damn thing. Oh man, that's the photo. Man, does it not look good right there. That's a little bit better. See, and that's what I don't like about the jaw, which is actually the opposite problem of the Monster Arts GMK. People, I have to switch to this one again. I've been told a lot of people don't like the overbite on the GMK. He's got too big of a top jaw, because like here's the front end of the teeth, here's the back end of the teeth. That's not a lie. I remember the figure having a huge overbite, And this figure, like, that doesn't look natural to me, you know. So that I look at that heat ray. Oh, the heat ray is the same sculpt. Okay. Well, is it? The heat ray's got to be different, because the heat ray was revealed months ago. So there's no way the heat ray is one for one. That also had. That would be crazy. Where's the heat ray? There it is. Let's see. Oh, that's just Godzilla heat ray. Fuck you. God damn it. Oh yeah. Okay, it's mostly the same head. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there is like some slight changes. In fact, I think one of the things that I don't like about the released GMK head is actually fixed right here. Is that this is rounder and not as boxy looking. Yeah, so they actually, on this prototype, this head looks better than the one that the actual GMK comes with. So, you know, but that one, it's not an underbite, but when you open up the jaw, and it happens when you have a hinge jaw and not a ball joint, it just, and because it's like, it's a pin, it doesn't sit correctly with the jaw. So once again, that's just a me opinion. There's nothing wrong with liking the head. That's just a fun discussion on why I don't like the GMK head. It's the eyes, and it's the boxy face. It's a little too rectangular and wide, and not, it doesn't narrow as much. But that's just a me thing, you know. I actually like the oversized teeth. I like kind of the round back part of the head rather than the thin as well. That's not accurate. This should be more in line with the jaw. They give him like almost evil chipmunk. They're not cheeks, but like the cheekbones in the back there, and I like that. And that does stem from me owning this figure and having it for so long, and having admittingly a bias to this figure. I mean, this figure's 10 years old now. This year, this is a 10-year-old release. You know, so, but I do really like it personally. So, but yeah. Okay, let's see. I got to catch up on these comments, and then we need to end. I was gonna end a while ago, and we're still going. So I've got to end stream. So I do apologize, everyone. But I thanks for the conversation, hanging out. But I want to catch up on chat, and then now we gotta get going. So. But thank you guys so much. I don't mind. Thank you guys for hanging out. Which Schmod would I want to be remade to make it better? Shin 100%. Shin needs to be able to look up, and they need to figure out. Shin suffers the same issue that the Haya heat ray has, or the Haya head sculpt for GMK has. It's at the jaw. The jaw, because the jaw's not quite lined up because of where the joint is, it throws the look off. And then honestly, the fact that Shin's top head opens and the bottom head can't move down, or the bottom jaw can't move down, it doesn't work. Shark to Post, I was just saying, I realized that we just went on for another like 30-40 minutes, and now I've got to catch up on chat, get these final thoughts out, and then I've got to bounce. I can't be on stream any longer. So we're hitting our point, but we had a really good 3.5 hour stream, so don't regret that. I'm very happy. I'm glad that this first stream is so successful, and there was so much to talk about that we could sit here for hours and talk. But now I kind of I don't want to put a pin on it, but we can save that for the next stream as well. So yes. So I'm very thankful. So thank you guys for hanging out and talking. I actually really needed this. So I really did. So thank you. I actually love the original 25. I think that captures, okay. See, I would have to go back and look at all the X Plus GMKs again to specifically see. But I think I would have to see that original one. So look at the heat, right? Okay. High GMK feels like it's meant to slouch way over. See, but that is accurate because there are some scenes. The only thing with the posture when it comes to that, I feel like it just doesn't have enough beer belly. That's kind of the other thing with the posture and the look, where the Monster Arts has that belly um, built into it. So although it doesn't like, they shortened the chest on the Monster Arts. So although the belly isn't like out like a beer belly, the belly just takes up a lot of the actual like surface space of the body. So it gives it that fat GMK belly look. Where the Haya, I feel like just the top part of the stomach just need a little extra thickening. I feel like that's all it really needs. But it is kind of noticeable because he really should be like that. But he kind of looks like he's got abs. So it just makes it look like he has really bad neck posture, which isn't wrong either to the suit. It's just sometimes at some angles it looks a little goofy to me personally. But not when people actually got it in hand and we had like our professional articulation figure posers putting it in, they made it look way better. And there's definitely some angles on that figure that make it look like one of the best GMKs ever. So I'm not, not to critiquing the GMK, not saying it's a bad figure though. It's 100% if someone wanted to say they didn't want to buy the $100 movie graphic GMK because they wanted to buy the $60 or $70 Haya, you're not going wrong with it at all. So I think buying either one is honestly it's a W. Unless the QC issue happens with the Monsters, it's going to be like the Suko and Mothra set where it's up to your opinion. It's just up to personal choice what you like the most, and that's about it. So we'll see with the QC first. Never buy the first release. Yeah, always buy the second release. God, YouTube is so light. Yeah. Okay, there we go. And now we're caught up. Yeah, Godzilla toys are hypnotizing. And because I haven't really, like, I've been sick, I haven't been in Discord with the homies either. So, like, I haven't talked Godzilla toys in, like, a few days. So, like, and I'm feeling better. So now I'm just, so. Yeah. Like I said, they're literally, like, if someone says that they prefer the Haya over the Monster Arts, I've got, like, no, like, could I like go and like really critique and debate it? Yeah, but I think there legitimately is no correct answer. I think either way, like you just win. If you want to spend a little bit more and get the Monster Arts, you can. If you really like the Haya, it's good. So it's a good figure. Once it got actually into collectors' hands, that figure, I'm way more positive on it now than I was initially. I will leave it at that. I'm way more positive on it. So I think they're a good fit for each other. And the cool thing is, if you want both, they look good next to each other. So, but that's kind of it. So we kind of got things. So got the reviews, these 2025 lists, or whether it's purchases or releases of 2025, however I do it. I'll start trying to get to them. I would guess next weekend. I'll probably do them as weekend streams specifically, because those are kind of be like this one, where it's kind of like, is there a theme? Yes. But also at the same time, there's a lot of these top tens. They're, for me explaining to you guys, or top whatever they are, it doesn't have to be top tens. I said top tens, but really some of them might not be top tens. They could be top eights, top five, top 15s. The Monster Arts, it's 11 because that's how many I got this year. It would be 13 if I had gotten the -1 reissue and the event exclusive -1, but obviously I didn't get those. So happy New Year, James. It's good to see you. Hopefully you had a good New Year's break. Hopefully it's going good. But yeah, so I would expect those 2025 streams to be weekends. Now, not saying that I'm only going to do one a weekend, not saying that I'll do 2 a weekend either, but like I said, I would rather get those done sooner than later. So as long as I can get Ghidorah before the weekend, whatever week the review comes out for Ghidorah 72, the top 10 2025 releases for Monster Arts stream, I would say it's a safe assumption that that live stream will happen very shortly after the review is dropped. So once I get that in hand, I get that review done, that stream will happen. The other ones aren't hinging on Ghidorah, because Ghidorah is a 2026 for everything else for purchases. So it's a release for 2025, but that is the only list that Ghidorah will be on. So otherwise, Ghidorah will be making its appearances on the purchases, the overall list, and God forbid whatever list I have for next year, it'll be making those appearances on those lists. It will not be on the top 2026 release stream next year because it is counted as a 2025. Hopefully that makes sense, just so there's no confusion. I'm not trying to sneak 72 Ghidorah into 2 years worth of lists. It's just kind of how it works. It's a 2025 release, but I didn't get it till 2026. So it follows the release schedule of the stream, but overall it'll fit into the 2026 streams once we get there next year. So, and same thing with Mechagodzilla. So, but yeah, so expect that stream shortly after. Once Ghidorah is in hand, it is soon. The other two, well, if I do the Ultraman one, that can happen at any time because I have no Ultraman figures on pre-order until July, or until next month because of Birdon. Oh shit, I can't forget about Birdon. And then hopefully I don't have to cancel that. I probably will though. If Destroy is next month and Shin is next month, I'm gonna have to cancel Birdon. I just don't have the budget to do all three, unless I get a new job. And yeah, and then the other two streams. So the overall 2025, my purchases, that includes everything. Probably next weekend. So because it's easier to do these 3.5 hour streams on the weekend. So, and I think more people have availability during the weekend over the weekdays. So, and I work nights, so I'm busy during the week. I don't have time to do a 3 hour stream on a night that I have to go to work. So it's just, I can do like the unboxings and like hour streams, even 2 hour streams they wear me out for work, but I also have fun doing them, so it's worth it. All right, Ghidorah 72 looks so cool. That it does. I'm excited to get it in hand so I can finally form my opinion of the figure and not just have this is what it looks like online. This is what, the general community in the US has said. This is what the general community in Japan has said. I'm excited to finally be able to form my own opinion on that figure once it's actually in hand. So that is it, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming out and hanging out on stream. This was incredibly fun. Not that we're like trying to base it on like success, but like here, like we did really good here, guys. We had a good stream. Thank you guys so much. 76 views. Comments, views are good. Thank you guys. How we doing on likes? We're doing on likes. That's the only thing. That's something I do. Not that I want to push, analytics and live streams and stuff, but it is still YouTube. To get more people into the conversation, I do have to do some things that follows YouTube analytics system. I'll ask you guys. I'm not telling you guys you have to, but if you guys watch these live streams or if you watch my videos, please make sure you're liking. If you'd like to, commenting also really, really helps. Commenting, actually, I've been told, so this year YouTube analytics got a shift. Comments help you push YouTube videos more than likes do now, and even views, supposedly. There was an analytic leak that said that comments are better. So if you guys could, please try to remember to like streams. You'll probably hear it more in videos, once a video, not multiple times, and you'll probably hear it once or twice during stream. I might I did have a banner for a while that was just like, hey, please like and comment and consider subscribing if you like the channel. Once again, all optional, but if you want to help support the channel, there will be a subscriber goal. I think it's kind of obvious what the goal is going to be for the year. But I am going to wait until anniversary to announce it. So, but it's, yeah. So like for live streams, what you guys are doing where you're chatting and we're chatting throughout the stream, that helps the live stream analytics. And then on the YouTube videos commenting, that also, it's a double-edged blade. It also tracks how fast I reply to things. So if I don't see a comment, so if I make a post and YouTube is being weird and I don't see that comment and I don't reply to it for 2 days, that also hurts me supposedly. So, yeah. I actually don't know if there's anything on that screen that I'm not supposed to put up on the screen. Oops, not that one. So, but yeah. So if you guys could, obviously, you don't have to. And if you forget, don't feel bad. It's a-okay. This isn't like a guilt tripping thing. It's just, if you happen to remember it, you happen to do it, great. If not, all good. At the end of the day, the channel can only grow as much effort as I put into it, because the more effort I put in, the more enjoyable it is. It means the more you guys like it. So it is all up to me. I'll work on commenting on the videos more. Hey, thank you. I appreciate the attempt. Once again, it's not a requirement. I'm honestly, I'll never be able to word it correctly. I can never, ever, ever tell you guys how thankful I am for these 5 years for the channel. And even when the channel was like not active, but you know, I was still posting like way back in the day, back when I only had like 2 or 3 subscribers. Even counting then as well, I'm thankful for all the support I've gotten over these years. I really, really do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. That's one thing this year I'd like to push more, as well as making sure that I'm thanking you guys. I feel like that's not something I always did the best last year, and I don't want to take what I have for granted, because as much as this is for fun and just to connect with people, I'm still lucky enough that almost 1,500 people are subscribed to the channel, and that you guys take time out of your days to come out and hang out during streams and sit here and chat and talk about toys and movies and shows and just Godzilla and all that stuff. Like, to round it back to an earlier conversation, I didn't have that as a kid, so it's really cool to be able to just to pop on a stream and be like, hey, I'm going to be live in a few hours. Let's, you know, whoever can make it, let's just talk about toys. You know, I'm very thankful. So, and James, hey, welcome. Thanks for being a new fan. Thank you. So, new or old, thank you guys all for your support. Just clicking on watching a video, even for 30 seconds, does so much. So, this 5th anniversary is going to be, I would like it to be an anniversary more celebrating the memories and kind of like you guys more than like me and the channel. Because I have to put the effort to make the interest for growth, but at the same time, the growth is only dependent on, is dependent on you guys as well as enjoying it. So, as much as it is for me to make content, make it enjoyable, it is also, wait, no. See, this is why I gotta stop talking, just end the fucking stream. I'm fucking... I'm confusing the shit out of myself, guys. It's been 3.5 hours. Brain fog is kicking in. So, y'all are awesome. Every time I see one, my heart stops, and it's just G.I. Joe. Ah, damn. Okay, well, hopefully soon, man. Regardless, yeah. So this year, I want to take more time and celebrate you guys. Once we get into February, obviously, none of the 5th anniversary stuff will start until after February, because the channel didn't start in January. It started in February. So once we get there, we'll get there. We'll see what I plan on. I will say I'm going to be doing more polls again this year for like ideas. So once we get to lull points and we get to points where it's like, well, I don't really know what to review, I'll be reaching you guys out. Same thing with live stream ideas. I want to continue becoming more interactive. So, and then as well as the things that I'm not going to tease, I'm just going to, if they happen, they happen. If they don't, they don't. Hopefully some of the ideas I have do come to fruition. I'm able to make them happen. I feel like it's going to help interaction and make these streams even more enjoyable for you guys. So anyways, that's it. I can't do an ending for shit. So take care, everyone. Thanks again. Thank you guys for almost 5 years on this channel. Thank you guys for a wonderful 2025. Thank you guys for being here and being one of my outlets to be able to come and de-stress and just hang out and, make life a little bit more manageable and easier, being one of them. So I appreciate it, everyone. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of your New Year's weekend. And I'll see you guys next week for the Mechagodzilla review and hopefully Ghidorah. Anyways, Later, everyone. Take care. Bye, guys. We did get to 4 right at the end, too.